Welcome back to another live stream. Hi, how is everyone doing? Hope you guys are doing great. Right, just before we start anything, right, before we dive in too far, just want to make sure that the live stream is working fine. Just want to check with you guys if you can see the video footage okay, if there's any problem, or if you can hear any audio. Is the microphone working? Is there any echo or double audio or distortion? Let me know in the chat if everything is working. And while I'm waiting for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Just in case, I'm just talking to myself and you guys are not seeing anything, right? Let me just drink some coffee first. Coffee. The reason I'm doing these checks is because I've seen some live streamers or YouTubers where in their live streams at the beginning, they started talking, they thought they went live, but everyone was waiting and nothing happened. I need to... Sorry about that. We've got some feedback already. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks, Gregory. Thanks, Rippy. And as usual, I'll say hi to members first. If you're not a member, don't worry. I'll still get to you. Members have some perks. One of them is being priority for replies or responses to chats, right? So yeah. Hey, Andrew, how are you? Gregory says, need coffee. Okay, thanks, Gregory. Nice to see you here again. Yes, get some coffee. It must be really early where you are. Hey, Rippy, how are you? Rajendra Putra says, all good, everything is working. Thanks for being here, Rippy. Appreciate that. And the walk last Sunday, or Saturday, was it? Saturday was really amazing. I'm going to talk a bit about the Scott Cub before the walk a little bit later, right? Just going to say hi to people first. Asrul, hey Asrul, how are you? Asrul says, video and audio good. Well, I need the chendol tomorrow. Chendol is always so refreshing, right? Today is so hot. It's been raining a lot in the past few days, right? So the weather has been quite cool. But today was hot, so it's a perfect day for some chendol. So yeah, get some chendol tomorrow, Asrul. Andrew says, good evening, Robin. Time for chendol. At this hour? Really, Andrew? Well, I guess in Malaysia we eat anything at any time, right? Like nasi lemak is for breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper, whenever, tea, right? So yeah, let's get to the non-members. Car says, stream starting soon, excited. Hey Car, nice to see you again. Welcome to the stream. Pat Diver says, yes, but overall they are losing a lot of money. I guess you're talking about the topic for today, which is OM system being ranked at number 4. So you are agreeing with that. I guess you're agreeing with Petapixel that OM system is not the best system for wildlife. Japan edit cell dashboard. I have no idea what that means, Pet Diver. That does not make any sense to me. Hey Jeff, how are you? Jeff says, hey Robin, everyone. Hey Jeff, really nice to see you again. Chuck says, good morning, afternoon, evening all. Good morning, afternoon, evening to you too, Chuck, whatever it is. Nice to see you here. Thanks, Jari, for the feedback. And hi, Jari, nice to see you again. Roy and Capture says, hello, funny that I went on the OM system retailer for the first time the other day. Around front door it says OM Wildlife. There were no price tags though, which was annoying. You mean the retail store did not put any price tag on their products? That is actually against the trade law in Malaysia. If we have a shop, let's say it's a commercial space, if you're selling something, by the law of Malaysia, you must include the price tag, or the price of the product must be shown. It may not be a tag on the product, but it must be displayed somewhere saying that, oh, this product or this item, the price is so and so. So I don't know which country you're at, Aurora and Capture, but here in Malaysia, you can report them to the ministry. That's against the law. Oh yes, Andrew, chendol is healing for the soul. I know, right? I should have some more tomorrow. Har says, hey Robin, stream looks good and sounds good. Thank you so much, Har. I appreciate the update. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate the update as well. Jared says, hi from Finland. We have beautiful autumn colors right now, 11 degrees Celsius. It is 28 degrees in my room, so 11 degrees. Wow, that's actually sounds really good. It feels pretty cool. You mean sales? You were talking about sales dashboard. All right, I understand. All right, I've said hi to people already. Call it the chat. Let's start with the updates for this week. On Monday, I've released a video, and it is about this old lens. Let me just take it off this EM1 camera. So it is this 12 to 50 f3.5 to 5.6 kit lens. Not 5.6, sorry, f3.5 to 6.3 kit lens that was launched together with the EM5 original, the first OMD camera by Olympus, back in the year 2012. Some highlights on the camera is weather sealed, yes, internal zoom, internal focus, yes, power zoom or motorized zoom, whatever you want to call it. It has a built-in macro function and a dedicated lens customizable function button. I think overall it has quite a versatile zoom range from 12 to 50. I think it's still relatively compact for a weather sealed, for a zoom lens that has such a wide reach, right, from 24 to 100 equivalent, and overall I think it is a fantastic lens. Not the sharpest lens out there, obviously the newer lenses like the 12 to 40, f2.8 Pro, 12 to 100, f4 Pro, 12 to 45, f4 Pro, these lenses are sharper than this, but don't underestimate this lens for such a small lens, being so compact and light, it's so easy to carry around. It's still weather sealed. You can pair it with weather sealed camera bodies like this EM1, although I think my EM1's weather sealing is already compromised. I wouldn't bring this out under the rain. Like the seals is broken. You can see the rubber, the gaskets, everything. The whatever that is sealing the camera is already disintegrated, so not going to trust this camera under harsh conditions, but the camera is still alive. It takes perfect photographs. So I paired the 12 to 50 with this original EM1 and brought it out for some shutter therapy sessions, and I got some really good shots which I shared on last Monday. So if you have not seen that video, I think the main message of the video is that do not underestimate what your kit lens can do, because a lot of people are too quick to throw away the kit lens and upgrade to the next best lens. And they thought that the kit lens is not capable to deliver great results, which I think is not true. And by upgrading to the next lens or whatever lens that you think that will make your photos better, it will not improve your photography one bit. It will not make your photographs any better. If you can't take nice photos with the kit lens, even if you've upgraded to a better lens, it will not improve your photography skills one bit. So that's the main message from last Monday, right? So please check out the video if you've not done so. I have one photograph I want to share, which was taken with this exact kit, this kit lens, 12 to 50, and this original EM1. I brought this exact same camera and lens to South Africa, to Cape Town actually, and I was on Robben Island, and I was shooting the Table Mountain from across the ocean. Let me just pull out the photograph. So this was the photo that was taken with this exact combination back in, I don't know, 2013, 2014. I think that was 2016. This was in 2016. So I brought the EM1 and it's 12 to 50, right? Exact same combination, and I got this shot. Some fun fact, a few years ago, someone saw this photograph on my blog, and actually he wanted to buy this photograph from me, although this photo was not on sale. And he's an artist, he's a realist painter, so he paints photographs. So what he wants is, he wanted to get this photo in full resolution from me. He's gonna blow it up large and he's gonna paint over the image. So he will paint exactly based on this particular photograph. I don't know, realist painting, if that's the thing. I'm not very well aware of painting and this art or the craft, but so what he wanted to do is to buy this photograph from me, and I told him that I don't sell landscape photographs. That's not my thing. I am a full-time photographer. I earn a living from doing photography, but I do events, weddings, portraits, products. This landscape shot, because it wasn't taken with the intention to be sold, so I told him that I will give him the photograph for free. All right, I'll send him the full resolution, which I did. I said, but if he felt compelled to donate or compensate me for whatever reason, like buy me a coffee, he can. So I sent him my PayPal link, and he did. He donated generously, and if I were to put a price tag on his photograph, whatever that he donated was way above what my price tag would be. So I just want to share and to show that, hey, kit lens is actually a very capable lens and it can produce excellent results. Someone in the comments said that, oh, Robin, yeah, kit lens is good and all, but I wouldn't use it for landscape. There you go. A landscape. Someone is willing to pay for this photograph. So I've just proven that point wrong. So yeah, don't underestimate what your kit lens can do. It is really, really capable, right? So this is just an evidence that, hey, kit lens can produce excellent results as well. So yeah, this brings back memories. I was working actually, went to South Africa with a group of dealers, and we were bringing them around, and yeah, good times. Next, what I want to talk about was the Scott Kelby photo walk. Sorry, Raja and Putra, if you're still here, I have not asked your permission to use this photograph. I'm usually very good at this. I just realized I forgot to ask your permission. So I hope you're okay with that. Repeat. If you're not okay, please let me know. I'm always very good at asking people their permission to use their photos beforehand. This just popped out last minute. I just put this up here like 15 minutes ago, and I just realized, oh my goodness, I have not sent Rippy a permission request. So anyway, this happened last Saturday. It is October 4th, there's a date on that. And it was at Brickfields or Little India in Kuala Lumpur. This Scott Kelby's worldwide photo walk in this particular event in Kuala Lumpur was led by my friend Raja Indra Putra, who is also a member on this YouTube channel. So Rippy is such an amazing friend. He's so awesome. And I think speaking on everyone's behalf, this particular event went really, really well. So we get to walk all around Brickfields, Kel Central, Little India, all those areas. I was exploring the parts where I did not even know existed, although this is one of my frequent street photography grounds. So amazing job to Rippy. You've done such a fantastic job. I think everyone had such a fun time. We were chatting, we're having such good conversations, and not only that, we also get some good shots along this. It's a good photo walk. It was from, I think in the morning, it started at 8:30, it finished around noon. And yeah, it was such a large turnout. I don't know how many people we had. I think we had at least 40, 50 people. This was at the initial part of the walk. Some people have not arrived yet. Some people joined halfway through. I knew Andrew arrived late, so Andrew was not in this photograph. Santix was here. I don't know if Santix is in the chat already. The guy in the blue shirt at the far left. If you look at the screen on the far left, the blue shirt, that is Santix. And I'm also wearing blue shirt. I'm actually, I think you guys can see me, right? I'm actually squatting down, almost at the far right corner. The guy in the blue shirt, there's only 2 blue shirts I can see, like the really bright blue. And fun fact, Andrew was also wearing blue, but he's not pictured here because he arrived late. So we have some familiar faces as well. So Andrew and Santix were here. I have my friends Amir, Dr. Haris, and a few other people that I've seen. It was really cool to see everyone here, meeting some old faces and new faces as well. Some of you came up to me and say, hey, I watched your YouTube channel. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, this is all thanks to Rajendra Putra. It was such a lovely walk. I will share my photographs taken from this particular walk later during the photo sharing session, so you guys get to see what I actually took at that particular session. And I had witnesses this time because Santix and Andrew, and also Rajendra Putra as well, they were there seeing me capturing all these shots. So yeah, it will be pretty cool. So yeah. All right, let's see. Next, some happenings. This will be happening this Saturday, 11th of October. Not associated with Futuromic or Nikon. I'm not paid to do this. This is not sponsored. Just want to put out this event here since some people like Santix and others will ask, hey Robin, is there any photography events happening? So this is the one that I can find, which is happening this coming Saturday. It's an open event. Anyone can go, but you do need to register. There's the QR code there. You need to RSVP for this event. Make sure that your name is in the list because I think they just want to control the number of people coming in. The place has limited seats. They don't want it to get overcrowded and it's out of control. It's a good event management technique. So just make sure if you're in Kuala Lumpur, if you want to check out the latest Nikon ZR, here's your chance. You can go and try it. You can speak to the people from representing Nikon in Malaysia. And yeah, just check out the event if you are interested, right? Okay, I think that's it for the updates for this week. Next, we're going to talk about this Petapixel episode on the OM system camera being ranked at number 4 for best camera for wildlife. But before we do that, just want to drink some coffee and say hi to a few more people. And then we'll dive right into the topic because I think it's a really hot topic. Okay, let's get to the chat. Rowan Capture says, the whole retail had almost no price tags and it's in Australia and it's legal. Really? I was in Perth and most of the places that I went to, there's price tags. So yeah, that's interesting. But I guess maybe different states, they have different rules, trade laws or anything. I have no idea. Chris says, hello Robin and all, nice day here. Hey Chris, very, very nice to see you. Well, cloudy yesterday was special as I took my just arrived 50-200 out for the first time. That's amazing. I will be getting the lens sometime next week in Malaysia, and I might do something with it. But, well, you already have the lens, so I guess, how is it? Let everyone know, right? I'm sure some people are curious. Skodat says, I think Micro Four Thirds does amazing in landscapes and street photographs, but I'm biased, so I think it does good at everything. Here's the thing. I think Micro Four Thirds is a perfectly capable system for a lot of photography genres. For casual shooting, especially for everyday carry, right? For street photography, for documentary, for reporting, even for, sure, landscapes, why not? And I portraits as well, right? Not just stuck at wildlife, right? So that's the general thought here. Rippy says, no worries, Robin. The photo has been posted on social media by others as well. Yeah, I think it's just a good practice before we use another person's photograph to ask. I always practice this. It's just that this time it slipped off my mind. So sorry about that, and thanks for allowing me to use it. I just think it's a good practice, right? And regardless, whether it's being used by others or not, and it's always nice to just ask, whether it's by text or by by email or anything, or just by phone call, whatever. Just a quick ask. I think it's good because I also noticed that it's something that Malaysians don't do a lot. We just grab someone's photograph and we post, and sometimes without even giving credit, right? Like I mentioned, it is Rajendra Putra's photos, but some people don't do that, and I find that really annoying. I think it's just something that we should do, right? Andrew says, yeah, we were blue bandits. Yeah, we didn't take a selfie. Did someone take a selfie of three of us? I think you did, right? Maybe you did. Three of us wearing blue. That would be so cool. Yeah, shout out to Rippy for leading such a wonderful walk. It's not easy managing a lot of people, right? Yeah, definitely. Tomato says, good evening, Robin and all. I enjoyed Monday's video. It's unfortunate that the lens doesn't ship with the new OM cameras. Yeah, I think it's an old lens, and of course, they want to push the newer lenses like the 12-45 f4 Pro. I know it's not the same, it's not really a replacement, but hey, it is a sharper lens, it's a pro grade lens, right? So yeah, I guess it's not that much bigger than this 12-50. So I guess, yeah, most people would put that 12-45 as the successor. Yeah. Gregory says, I know nothing of wildlife photography or of using the other brands to do so. Most of my cat photographs were taken with my smartphone. I know, right? Like these days, this is quite a capable camera now. And to be frank, this is like the most used camera out there, right? Everyone just uses a smartphone. Smartphone takes the most photographs for today. That's a fact, right? It's been taken over. Cameras are like a specialized thing already. Jer says, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey Jer, how are you? Nice to see you here. Simon says, hello everybody. Hey Simon, how are you? Good to see you here. Hey Santix, you are here. It was a long photo walk. Yeah. Do you see yourself in a photograph? Yeah, it was nice seeing you again, Santix. I hope you had some good shots. I saw some of the shots you posted on the WhatsApp group. Nice photos, Santix. Really nice. I'm doing okay. A little bit tired. It's been a long week. I've had some shoots this week. Try to make a video. So funny story, since it's still beginning of the stream, I had a video that I wanted to film, so I was doing it. I tried to do it on Monday. It rained whole afternoon. I was only free in the afternoon. Tried to do it on Tuesday. It rained again whole afternoon, and finally yesterday, Wednesday, I managed to do it in the Wednesday afternoon. So yeah, thankfully I managed to get that one video done. So that will be for a few weeks later. Kamuyat Mariam says, good evening, Robin, everyone. Hey, how are you? If OM can't be number one, what are they doing? What are they doing indeed? Yeah, Santi says, a very good event, and shout out to Rippy for the photo walk arrangements and map plan. It was very well planned out. Like, there's like a map for us, the route for us to tell us where to go, where to meet, at what time where we should be, and it was so well done. So really, really kudos to Rippy. Yeah, Jira says, I found the episode to be odd. Two of the three admitted that from the start. They don't even shoot wildlife, with Jordan's focus on being video anyway. The ranking was done by just one person, right? Chris. It wasn't done by the whole three. And Jaren has always been like the default moderator or host, whereas the one giving opinions, the experts, are always Jordan and Chris. So in this particular episode, it was just Chris doing all the rankings. So... Yeah, I'm gonna read a few more chat and we'll start with the topic. Rowan Capture says, it was a very minimalist store, so I think it was part of the design. It was just annoying. It is. I agree with you. The price tag should be transparent, right? We should know how much they are selling the items for. Like, why hide the price? I mean, if you want to do a business, people need to know how much you are selling, right? It's just part of the whole deal. Like, what the heck is that? I agree with you here, no question. Drew says, everyone knows Wolfram has better resolution and dynamic range than Micro Four Thirds, but the difference isn't crippling. I also consistently see OM1 shooters say the autofocus is fantastic. Yeah, but then again, a lot of OM1 shooters don't have the opportunity to try the latest Sony cameras, or at least not try extensively, like really use it in a full session, like Chris has. Or they haven't really tried Canon, Nikon, so not many people have that kind of luxury. I'm not saying Chris is the only one. Sure, there are other rich people who has enough money to buy everything, right? They can buy Nikon, the entire set, the best of the best, Sony, the best of the best, Canon, and then they compare, and then they can make the final conclusion that, oh, maybe Sony is better, or maybe OM is better. But the one I see is that a lot of OM system users, they probably only have one system or two. And they'll pick one and they'll say, okay, OMs is good, but then they don't have that well-rounded capability to really make comparisons. And Chris, I mean, he's a trusted voice in the review world. There's no reason to doubt him, right? But of course, he's just one person, and opinions like this, it is definitely subjective. I'm not saying that I believe him or I agree with him 100%, but I'm just saying that his voice carries some weight, and yeah, we shouldn't ignore what he has to say. Yeah, Santi says, it was interesting, in-depth exploring brick fields, very nicely planned and map for the walk paths. Yeah, and make sure you join next year's Rippy's Scott Kelby walk again. He does this every year. Yeah, I brought my total to 50 during the walk, but just used the 25 1.8. Good choice. I would have used the 25 1.8 all the way as well. You know how I love the 50 lens, right? And I think after you've used that lens for a while, I can see that you also quite enjoy the lens, Santix. Trophy says, well, from my own experience, I've tried almost all systems from natural photography. OM Olympus and OM now deserves at least a second place. I was using photography for my job, botanical expertise. I understand. All right, well, you think it's number 2. You don't even think it's number 1. Wow, okay. Even someone who has used everything, right? You said you've tried everything, right? All the systems. And you even place it at number 2. So I'm guessing Sony is number 1. Terrific. Ryan Catcher says, I would go to Sony only if I get enough to get a noticeable difference from my EM1 Mark II. It will get a noticeable difference. We're talking about like 60-something megapixels. That is quite hard to ignore. Chris says, I was pleasantly surprised at how contrasted the 50-200 is compared to 40-150. It's very sharp. Bokeh is nice compared to 40-150. No focus clutch is an issue. Oh, it doesn't have a focus clutch. I did not know that. Hood is just too big. Then don't use the hood. Love it. Okay, that's interesting. I'm looking forward to testing the 50-200. I remember the 40-150 being quite contrasty as well. I have no issue with the contrast from that lens. In fact, even shooting a wide open f2.8, you get amazing details and contrast. So yeah. Jer says, I just got my first Micro Four Thirds last week. Congratulations, which is the EM5 Mark II. I'm loving it so far. Been having fun with the in-camera modes. That's amazing. Congratulations on the purchase. Welcome to the group, or welcome to Micro Four Thirds. And I hope you enjoy the EM5 Mark II. Rip's intention was to show an Indra Putra shop. All right, let's put a pause on the chat. It's almost 10:30. Let me drink a little bit more coffee and then we'll start with the topic. So I don't know if you guys have seen not the latest, but I think this is a month old already, one of the recent Petapixel Podcast episodes where Chris Nicholls was asked to rank the top cameras or the best cameras for wildlife photography. And that's the topic of that podcast, right? They were talking about other updates and everything, but the main discussion, it revolves around what is the best camera, not lenses, what's the best camera for wildlife photography. And since Jordan is a video expert, he did not come in and say much about the whole argument or discussion. He will chime in. He did chime in a little bit there and here, but it's not Jordan's expertise. And of course, Jaron, as usually, he's the moderator, he's the host, and the entire ranking was made or given by Chris Nicholls. And I have followed them for years, since the days in the camera store. Was it the camera store in Canada? And then they moved to DP Review, and now both Chris and Jordan, they are with Petapixel. And they have been really, really consistent with the reviews. I think of a lot of reviews out there. If you want to talk about the standard, or if you want to have a reference of how to make camera reviews, I think Chris and Jordan will be it. Being a team, especially now, video is quite important as well. So Chris would usually do the photography part and Jordan would do the video part. They are quite a team. And I would say that a lot of the reviews are very trustable, it's dependable, and they're all very well done. And looking at a lot of reviews that they've done over the years, I don't think there are many mistakes they've done. They have been very thorough. They really tested the equipment the best they can, although sometimes they don't have a lot of time. And looking at what they've been doing at the Petapixels recently, I don't envy the review lifestyle, because like I do camera reviews as well. I do camera and lens reviews. And I know how difficult it is, or how much effort and time that I have to spend in making each review, right? To put out a video out there. And boy, oh boy, they can put out like 4 reviews in one day, which means the weeks before they have to work on multiple reviews at the same time. I just don't know how they do it. And it doesn't look like fun anymore when you have to test so many things at once and you're on a deadline, right? And you know that there's like a hard deadline and you must publish, because technically Petapixels is also a news site, so you have to release the videos when it is still fresh, right? Once the embargo is lifted. So I don't envy that part of what they are doing, but yeah, they get to test a lot of equipments. And over the years, Chris has also experienced all different kinds of cameras and lenses from all different kinds of manufacturers. So he's in this unique position where he can't comment on whether the cameras are good or not for any situations. And I respect his opinion. I really do, and I think his voice really matters. And yeah, and when he's asked to rank the cameras, the top cameras for wildlife, well, number 1 is Sony. I think that's not surprising, because looking at how far Sony has progressed in terms of image quality, well, they have the highest megapixel counts in the market, right? 61 megapixels. And then in terms of autofocus, they are second to none. So in terms of that, animal detection, bird detection, whatever, I think Sony is way ahead. I'm not denying that. But when it comes to the number 2 and number 3, right, that's where things get really interesting, because I think it was Jaron who said it. So when it comes to number 2 and number 3, I'm sure you are having a hard time trying to place whether it's OM system or Nikon. And Chris said, no, OM system is not even in the top 3. It's not in number 2 and number 3. And then you can see simultaneously both Jaron and Jordan went, what? Because they would have thought that OM system would be at least number 2 or number 3. And they were like, what? And then was like, I also went, what? that was quite fun to watch. If you have not watched this episode, I highly recommend that you do, whether you agree with them or not. They've been there doing whatever they're doing for a long time. It's worth looking at or listening to what they have to say, especially Chris on his reasoning on why he did not place OM system in top 3. So of course, number 2 went to Nikon, number 3 went to Canon, and his reasons for placing all these top 3, number 1 Sony, number 2 Nikon, number 3 Canon, is because the cameras have better image quality, and especially when it comes to wildlife and birding, you need to crop. And after severe crop, you still get a lot of resolution and definitely still better dynamic range and high ISO. And a lot of times, you don't shoot in ideal lighting conditions. You have to ramp up your ISO to very high numbers, like 3200, 6400 or beyond. And using full frame cameras, that's where the advantage comes in. You don't have to worry so much about the noise levels, whereas in Micro Four Thirds, there's the penalty for high ISO noise is a lot more severe. So yeah, that's basically the argument. And number 2, in terms of the autofocus performance, the autofocus from Sony, Canon, and Nikon compared to what OM system can do, the difference is glaring. And this is what he said. He said OM System's autofocus is good. He didn't say it's bad. He said it's functional, it's perfectly functional, and he can make it work. It's good enough. Those are his exact words. Functional, and he can get shots. But they were nowhere, again, his words, nowhere near as reliable as Sony, Canon, or Nikon. That's what he said. And especially when it comes to Sony, it's just way ahead in terms of reliability. The camera just sticks to the shot or whatever animal that is detecting in the frame. And when it comes to hit rate, the keeper rate is so much higher when you're shooting with Sony and then Nikon and Canon compared to OM System. That is just his assessment. Whether you want to agree with him, that's his experience. He is entitled to his opinion. His voice is valid. But hey, we don't have to agree, right? We don't really have to agree. But I'm saying those are the things that he has said on the podcast. You can check it out. It's out there. Everyone can view it, right? So before we continue with this Petapixel putting OM System in number 4, we have a new member. Let me just give him a shout out. Thank you so much, Nick Yokom, for joining the member. Welcome to Photo Walk Buddies. Thanks for the support. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the perks. You're gonna enjoy like early access to my videos. I will reply to your chat first before everyone else, and of course we have members only live stream once a month, and I have some really cool members only videos as well. And I hope you enjoy these perks. Thanks for the support, Nick. All right, back to the discussion, right, from the Petapixel. So I'm not going to say so much because I'm not a wildlife photographer. I don't want to pretend like I know this inside out. Obviously, I have not tested the newer cameras from Sony, like the A9 Mark III, the A1 Mark II, or I haven't tested the R5 Mark II, or the R3 from Canon, or I haven't really used like the Z9 or Z8 from Nikon extensively. I don't have much experience with these newer cameras from the other cams to make such conclusions, and especially not in wildlife photography. That's not my forte, all right? But I will say this though, because OM System has, or even Olympus, back in Olympus days, they have tried to go with a singular vision and direction on just doing wildlife. I don't know what made them do that. And I don't know why they thought it was a good decision to just hone in to wildlife and just wildlife alone. And because of this very specific niche, I think it has done them more harm than good. Hear me out. And while it's good to specialize, you need to be far better than everyone else to be called a specialist, right? In terms of image quality, we know that Micro Four Thirds can't fight. It's just physics. Full frame will be superior. Resolution, dynamic range, high ISO. So you're already losing out right from the start. Everyone knows, it's no secret that Micro Four Thirds will not win when it comes to image quality, right? Now, other things you can still fight. You can have the best image stabilization, which is far better than everyone else, and then you throw in superior autofocus, which is far better than everyone else, and then you have some computational tricks, which is far better than everyone else, right? And you make your cameras and lenses really, really, really tiny, and then you make it weather sealed. And let's say that everyone else is so much bigger, so much heavier. Nobody has image stabilization. Nobody has weather sealing. You're the only one that has weather sealing, and your autofocus is really good. So imagine if OM System cameras all the cameras have superior autofocus. Let's say it's way better than Sony, Canon, and Nikon. Let's say it has image stabilization, and no one else has it, right? Let's say Canon, Nikon, and Sony don't have, or let's say the stabilization sucks. It's nowhere near as good as OM System. Let's say that they are really, really small, like 50% the size and weight of what Canon and Nikon can do. And then I can see how all these things can justify OM System being ahead and being a specialist in wildlife, and why they should push OM System into the wildlife territory, because they are simply better in everything else besides image quality. I think people can forgive the shortcomings in image quality, inferior with other things, but the reality is not so simple. In reality, everyone has capable image stabilization now. Look at what Nikon is doing. If you've tried Nikon cameras, the stabilization is really amazing. I think Sony is still a little bit behind. Canon, I'm not so sure, but I know Nikon is no joke. The stabilization is really amazing. When we talk about size, they are not really bigger or heavier. In terms of cameras, I'm not talking about lenses. We just talk about cameras, right? Well, if you look at Macro Four Thirds, OM system, the camera is actually bigger than Canon and Nikon. Right? If you look at Canon, they have R5 Mark II, which is actually smaller than OM1, OM1 Mark II. Sony's A7 Mark IV, A7R Mark V is actually smaller than OM1, right? And it's kind of sad, and that's true. So you're not making your camera smaller. And yes, I know the lenses are small, but the lenses are not half of the size. They are maybe 20%, 30% smaller, maybe 20%, 30% lighter. It's not half the weight or half the size. And yet, full-frame cameras, they have larger sensor and such way better headroom when it comes to image quality, right? Now, autofocus, this is where what really, really pushes the OM system down the list is autofocus, which is also emitted by Chris. It's autofocus, right? The autofocus is not that great compared to everyone else. It's just not that great. And it's just sad. Like, why? You know you can't fight with image quality, so everything else has to be better. Everything else. Okay, I admit the image stabilization is perhaps one of the best in the market, if not the best. But the autofocus is more important than image stabilization. And they're losing out. It's not like they are a little bit behind. No, they are way behind. We're talking about generations behind. If you've seen what Sony, Nikon, and Canon can do, OM systems autofocus is not great. It is not. That is a fact. And it's verified by Chris, who has tested all these different cameras. He knows it is just not there. So it's strange for OM system to really push this wildlife direction, because I don't see why people would pick OM system for wildlife. People will not pick your camera just because it's smaller and lighter, just because it's a little bit smaller and lighter. No, they will not. They will pick your camera if it produces excellent image quality. They'll pick your camera if they can focus and grab the shot. Okay, you can say that it's not the best image quality, but if it helps me to get the shot, if I can get higher keeper rate, then yes. So yeah, in this situation, yeah, it's kind of, I can see why Chris places OM system in number 4. I know it's quite miserable, but you know, I see his reasoning. I understand where he is coming from. And fun fact, before I turn this question around to you guys, Panasonic was ranked the last. Who was it that there was some YouTubers, famous Micro Four Thirds YouTubers, that compared G9 Mark II and OM1, OM Mark II, and said that, oh, G9 Mark II's autofocus is superior and it's better and the image quality is better. And when Chris came to Panasonic, it was like, no, G9 Mark II, no. It was the last, okay? So my goodness, it was kind of sad. And yeah, well, we're not here to talk about Panasonic. We will roast Panasonic some other day. We did that last week. We will come to them another day. We don't want to open up the topic and then next thing someone will talk about Pentax or Leica or Hasselblad or film cameras, right? Let's not do that. Let's just shift our attention to OM system and why they fail so hard, and why Chris ranked them at number 4. Do you agree with this? If you don't agree, maybe list your reasons why. There's no right and wrong here. It's just a subjective opinion. Some people may rank OM system at number 1. I understand. I can see why. I guess it's personal, right? And there's no right and wrong. But at the end of the day, the truth is in the camera sales. If it's good, people will buy a product and people will stay with you. If it's not good, people will return the product or sell it off and give up the system. And the fact that the market share for Macro Four Thirds is so small, the market share for OM system is diminishing year by year. We're talking about what, 1.something% this year, the market share, which is really, really bad. So yeah, you know, the numbers don't lie. And the performance in the market is just so telling that the strategy for wildlife, it just doesn't work. So I'm gonna open up the question to you guys. What do you guys think? Before I get to the chat, let me drink some coffee and yeah, share your thoughts. Okay, I will respond to members first. So non-members, please bear with me. Ryan Catcher says, I feel Olympus ranked high because of the durability and weather sealing. One of the reasons I stayed with Olympus was because of how durable they feel. They don't feel like a toy like other cameras. Have you used Canon Nikon's higher grade cameras? Like we're not even talking about mirrorless, right? If mirrorless, it will be Z8, Z9. Canon will be R5 Mark II or R3. Let's say DSLR. Have you tried Nikon D4, D5? Or Canon 1DX, the 1D series? Because if you have held these cameras in your hands, you will never say that they feel like toys. In fact, these cameras were better built and they are more rugged and they're more solid than Olympus or OM system cameras. I wouldn't put OM system as having the best construction in the market. No, I don't think so. Ryan Capture says, even if they somehow make a laser focused hot shoe attachment, is it even possible? Well, you don't need that, right? Like just improve the autofocus algorithm. Sony can do it. Why don't you do it? Just break open a Sony camera and figure out the algorithm, right? How hard is that? Trophy says, last Sunday I was playing with Sony, so now first and second place is, well, dynamic. So if once you have tried, you understand how much better it is, right? Yeah. Santik says, speaking on wildlife camera, I just did some wildlife photography yesterday after work to the park in Churras. Okay. Shot some flamingos, some kingfisher, and tortoise walking on grass to bushes. Awesome. Wow, you've been shooting a lot. I guess it was the 75-300, correct? It was the 75-300 and the Lake Park, very compact super tele lens. Don't think other brands has this. I think the 75-300 is a great lens, but a lot of more serious wildlife photographers or birders will find that lens a little bit limiting. Like for example, it has f6.7, right? Or was it 6.7 if I'm not wrong? Coupling the dark aperture and the smaller sensor size, that's not really a good recipe for wildlife photography. I understand that for casual shooting, like what you do and what I do, I also do casual wildlife, right? It's good enough. But for those serious shooters where they go safaris, let's say they go to Africa, right? They go to some Kenya, for example, to shoot the migration of some animals, and they really need the camera and lens to perform. 75-300 will not be the lens that they bring, and they'll need something more serious, more rugged, more dependable in terms of image quality that you can get out of it, right? So yeah. Yumi says, hi Robin, hi everyone. Hey Yumi, very nice to see you here. How are you? Let's see. Uka says, what lens you use to make this podcast? Thanks. It's the 15 f1.7 Panasonic. Sandit says, has previously Olympus planned to make something even further than 75-300, say 150-600? Compact size? Nah. I think 75-300, to make it that compact, is already quite amazing. So they do have the 150-600, which is not a pro lens, but there's no way to make it compact, right? And a lot of people say that it's a Sigma lens. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. What people don't understand is that while it is parked under Sigma's pattern, it could have been designed by Olympus. Just saying, it could have been. Birds for Life says, I feel like the only thing holding it back is 20 megapixels and noise performance dynamic range. It's got everything else. Great stabilization, yes, but not that much greater than everyone else. I would say still OM system is one of the best, but not like a huge difference. If you have tried other camera systems. Great autofocus? No. What earth are you on? Autofocus is not great. It is functional. I will use Chris' word. It is functional. You can use it. You can work with it, right? It can get you shots, but the hit rate is not high. It's not great. It's far from great. Pre-capture, yes. Everyone also has pre-capture now. Stack sensor, everyone has stack sensor now. Weather sealing, everyone has also weather sealed now. So that's my point, right? Like everyone has all these things. So you need to be really good at something or a lot of things besides the image quality to justify people buying your product, right? If you're just a little bit better, no, it's not going to cut it, right? Yeah. Pete says, image quality isn't better on full frame, it just allows for bigger prints. If I can print bigger without image degradation, that's better image quality, right? How else do you describe image quality? Which image quality means more resolution, more dynamic range, better ISO performance. How else do you describe it? Sunny says, Olympus used to say that autofocus was the best or fastest. Yes. It was E3 and one of the Pen series. It was E3 was during the DSLR days. It wasn't really that fast. Trust me, I used those cameras before. But when EP3 came, and then EM5, the first one, EP3, EM5, EM1, it was really the world's fastest, no kidding, at that time. But that time was before subject tracking. The world's fastest autofocus was referred to the use of the single autofocus, not continuous autofocus. The continuous autofocus on Olympus was always behind Canon and Nikon, even during the DSLR days. And even when Olympus already had the mirrorless cameras, the EM5, EM1, EM1 Mark II, they were still behind what Canon and Nikon can do with their DSLRs. They're just simply behind. And now, with all the advanced AI tracking technology, subject detection, Sony, Canon, and Nikon, they were already so superior in continuous autofocus tracking, or continuous autofocus in general. Added with the AI's help, the subject detection, the smart subject tracking, right? It just takes the continuous autofocus to the next level, whereas OM system is improving, it's getting better. Like OM1, OM Mark II's autofocus is better in terms of tracking. I'm not going to lie. It has improved, but it is still behind, 1 or 2 generations behind what Canon and Nikon can do. And in terms of reliability, in terms of hit rate, it's still not there. And at least that's what Chris has claimed in that podcast series. Burp says, I don't know the autofocus on OM1 Mark II on par with... Is it so? I don't think so. If you have tried the Z8 and Z9, it is not on par. Trust me, it is not. Hop says, not sure I want to watch this video. Just change from Canon to OM systems. You should. The truth is the truth, right? Like, why should you hide from the truth? And whatever camera system that you own, it is good enough. You don't need the best cameras to take wonderful photographs, right? What does it bother you that you don't have the best camera? Why does it have to be like, okay, I'm perfectly secure using Micro Four Thirds. I'm still using the EM1 Mark II, although it's not the best Micro Four Thirds camera today. It's not the best camera today. I have no issues. I'm not insecure in any way of using my Micro Four Thirds products to produce the photography that I do. I'm perfectly happy with my Micro Four Thirds products. And I'm also perfectly okay to admit the shortcomings of the products that I own. My cameras are not perfect. I'm perfectly okay with saying that my EM1 Mark II has some flaws. I'm perfectly okay to say that the OM1 that you are seeing me through now, the live stream, has some problems. It has some serious problems, and it's way behind competition. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy using my cameras and lenses for my photography. And I don't need the best camera out there. I don't need a Sony A1 Mark II or a Canon R3 or a Nikon Z9 to get my shots. Whatever I have is more than sufficient for me. I'm happy with what I have. I hope you guys can see that. But it doesn't mean that I cannot talk about what's out there. It doesn't mean that I will shy away from the truth and I say, oh, what I have is the best. Everyone else is crap. Autofocus in my OM1 is the best. It's better than Z9. I will not say that because that's not the truth, right? The truth is still the truth. And it's also interesting to look outside of what you have and look around and really, really understand what's in the market, right? And it's also kind of sad if you're just stuck in one island and never explore everything else. You get what I mean? Because I think photography world, or at least the camera world, is so diverse. And it will be very arrogant and very self-absorbed for you to just stick with just what you have. It's not wrong for photography's sake. I think photography is beyond what gear can do. It's about what you can do. But you should also be able to accept that, hey, every camera has its strengths and weaknesses, right? And no camera system is perfect. And that's what I find what's very toxic about Micro Four Thirds shooters or OM system Olympus fans. They cannot accept the fact that there are other people who prefer to use full frame cameras. They'll feel like, no, full frame is bad, Micro Four Thirds is good. I'm like, why? Why are you so defensive? Some truths are just truths. Some facts just cannot be bent. Like, why are you so insecure? Why do you need people to validate that your camera is the best? Why do you need people to tell you that your camera is good for you to feel good about yourself? I find that very disturbing. And just because I'm here saying that, like talking about, hey, OM Systems strategy is wrong, it's just my commentary on what they do in marketing, their product strategy, and how they run their business. I am a photographer. I've been involved in the industry. I just have some comments I want to make. It doesn't mean I'm against them. I still love my Olympus products. I still love Micro Four Thirds. And the reason we are doing this is because we want them to thrive, right? We want them to survive. So anyway, I think I've diverted off tangent from the original discussion already. Let me get to the members first. Let's see. Mika says, I had the 75 to 300 and the lack of light and softness in the center made me sell it an upgrade. Yeah, well, I don't think it's soft at the center. I think my 75-300 is very sharp. But yes, the aperture not being very bright does pose some challenges in certain shooting situations. I agree with you. I didn't notice how bad the autofocus on OM1 was until I started watching for it after your videos. Because I really use my cameras. I really use them. And when my cameras fail, when I miss my shots, that's when I say the autofocus is bad. I can say that it's my fault. True. We shouldn't blame our gear for our shortcomings or for failing to get our shots, but I am not so much of asking the OM1 to be on par with Sony Canon. Yes, I've been saying that Canon Sony is better. My biggest disappointment, my biggest complaint is very different from what Chris is saying. Chris is saying Sony and Canon is way better than OM system, right? That is also a fact. I'm not denying what he's saying. But my biggest complaint is that the autofocus on OM1 is less reliable than EM1 Mark II. That was my biggest beef. Like, I'm more confident in getting the critical shots with my EM1 Mark II than the OM1. That's how bad it is. Yeah, that's my complaint, which Chris did not say anything about, right? We are different people. We shoot different things, right? Obviously, we need the camera for different reasons. We use them differently. So in my case, the EM1 Mark II is more reliable for what I shoot, and which is really troubling. So yeah, Mika says, I do a wide range of photography, air shows, wildlife concerts, and I can't wait to get the 50 to 200. I kind of want the OM to release the OM1 Mark III before I commit. Yeah, let's hope they release it next year. Maybe the next discussion or topic will be our wish list for the OM1 Mark III. How is that? Gregory says, looking forward to stocking nasi goreng in a while with the 25 millimeters. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you next year, Gregory. Can't wait. Still many months away though, like half a year away, right? Mika says, on the topic though, I have been able to get some great wildlife shots with the OM system. Of course. Any cameras, even a 12 years, 15 years old camera from Olympus, Canon, Nikon with an old lens can get a great wildlife shot. Who can't, right? Yeah. It's number one with me because it's all I have. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, once people start comparing, that's where the opinion starts to change. There's someone like Chris, he has the opportunity to test all these other different cameras and lenses. He has access to them, right? Which is very, very different. Rowan Capture says, OM system just needs to focus on autofocus and get high resolution Sony sensor into their cameras. Yeah, like this 47 megapixel one. Why didn't they use that? Which is very weird and I don't understand, right? Trophy says, I wish Pentax entered the mirrorless race. I think they realized that they were too late and they realized that it's hard for them to catch up and they decided to do other things, pursue other ventures. And also they were bought over by Ricoh. It means that they're already given up on photography or camera making. So their ambitions and goals have been always different from everyone else. They're not the mainstream fighter already. So yeah. Okay. Pete says, people will always buy full frame over Micro Four Thirds for its advantages. That doesn't mean better images. If you want to talk about better images in terms of the artistic value or the moment or the whatever that makes a good photograph, right? Of course, that's not dependent on gear, right? I've already said this. The photographer is the one that makes the images. But in terms of technical quality, are we going to ignore physics or facts? That the highest resolution sensor is not on Micro Four Thirds. And it's a big gap, right? From 60-something to 20-something. That's like 3 times resolution, 3 times more resolution. Dynamic range, twice more. And high ISO performance as well. That's a huge gap. I'm not saying that I want Micro Four Thirds to fight when it comes to technical image quality. We already accept that Micro Four Thirds will never win when it comes to image quality. If you want image quality, go for full frame. But at least if I were to be here, if I were to use micro four thirds, I want micro four thirds to be better in other things, right? And especially something that truly matters in getting the shots, like autofocus, for example. That's all I'm asking for. I think that's what Chris is saying as well. So in Petapixel. Original Jump Track says, "Hi Robin, hey, how are you? Nice to see you here again. I think the inherent advantage for OM system for wildlife is the crop factor and doubling the reach to full frame. 300 f4 is so much smaller and lighter compared to full frame, and yet it was ranked number 4. I'm not denying the advantage of small, lightweight, whatever. Even Chris admitted that he praised OM system for wider ceiling and compactness. If you want something really small, really light, if you want reliable wider ceiling, yes, OM system. He even said in that podcast episode that he trusts OM systems wider ceiling over Sony. He said OM systems wider ceiling is way more reliable than Sony. He said that exactly. But in terms of wildlife photography, wider ceiling and compactness are not everything, because you still want to get the shot. Let's say you see something on the branch. How fast does the camera acquire the focus? How reliable can you depend on the camera to stick to the movement of the subject? And when you press the shutter button, how confident are you in nailing that shot? That confidence, that reliability is not there in OM system. And I can get it not even for wildlife. Even when I use the OM1 to shoot a concert or even a general portrait photography, that confidence is not there. Trust me. You don't even need to go to wildlife to talk about this, right? So that's why OM system is ranked at number 4, according to Chris, and I partially agree with him. Sunny says, by this 2025, what is the average megapixel expected in general? 25, 36 in my opinion. I think 24, 25 is fine if you're not doing anything serious, if you're not a professional photographer. I think 24, 25 is plenty of pixels to play with. But if you are doing work, I think something above 30, like 32, 33 or 40 will be advantageous, because some clients will want to crop. Because you're not shooting for yourself, you have to think about this. If you're shooting for someone else. So a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more, something extra will always be advantageous. Your clients will definitely love the resolution, right? So yeah, this depends on what kind of clients you're getting. If you're shooting for a wedding, no, resolution doesn't really matter. Anything 8 to 10 megapixels is fine. You don't even need like 20, 30 megapixels. But if you're shooting for like commercial space, someone want to advertise a interior, for example, or architecture, or you're shooting for a developer selling a new house, for example, I think you really want to have all those details captured, right? So more megapixels will definitely be advantageous. Jason writes, says, wedding photographer here with a lot of experience shooting Olympus, OM, and Sony. Robin is right, Olympus misses more shots. I don't trust it and overshoot just to make sure I have shots in focus. Yeah, you don't even need to go to wildlife to experience this reliability issue. You see, it's like, I agree with Chris instantly because of, I've been using OM1. Yes, I don't have the OM1 Mark II, but come on. How much better is the OM1 Mark II compared to the OM1? It's like, seriously. And when they have the OM1, they have already made the promises, like they already promised the moon. But honestly, they deliver nothing, right? So yeah, here, Jason writes, sort of agreed and supported my claim that in terms of reliability, in terms of the keeper rate, it's just not that high. Can you make it work? Yes. Can the camera focus? Yes. Is it functional? Yes. Can you get some shots? Yes. But is it better and you get more keeper rates? Or is it more, are you more confident in using the camera compared to Sony? No. And I'm saying this as a Micro Four Thirds fan. I'm saying this as a true Olympus fan. Facts are facts. We have to separate them from fiction, right? And just because I support Micro Four Thirds, I'm not blind to the weaknesses. Hello, right? I can't just sugarcoat everything and say, oh, this is the best thing ever. Like some YouTubers out there will try to twist and burn and bend things. No, I'm not that kind of person. I'll try to be honest as I can. I hope you guys appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, let's get to members chat. Let's see if we have a few. You guys are talking to each other. No worries, Gregory. Keep doing that. Rowan Capture says, I will probably go to Sony one day. I hope I have the money to keep my micro four set up for everyday use and use the Sony for professional work or if I'm going somewhere to mainly get photos. No worries, no worries. If you can afford it, why not, right? Nobody's stopping you to have multiple systems. And a lot of people have multiple systems these days. Cecilia says, hi Robin. Hey Cecilia, welcome to the stream. Pete says, I've done Safari with micro four, it's done great. Yeah, but then again, if you compare with other systems, you understand why people prefer other systems. I am not denying that micro four can get you shots. I've done safaris. I was in South Africa. I was there. But doing safaris and being an actual wildlife photographer are two different things. Because being on safari, you're on holiday, you're just there to have fun and capturing photographs. But those wildlife photographers who are chasing the shots, who are delivering the shots for the editor, for a magazine or publication, who are on an assignment and they're on the pressure to deliver shots, they cannot afford to fail. And whatever tools that will help them with the keeper rate that they're more confident with, they'll use the better tool, right? It makes sense, right? Yeah, sure, I can use any tool. I can use a 25 years old film camera, but why would I do that if I have a better camera at my disposal? Does it make sense to you? Right? Bert says the vast majority of high magnification macro photographers gravitate towards Olympus OM system. Yeah, but then again, we're not talking about macro, right? We're talking about wildlife. Macro is not exactly wildlife. I can shoot macro at the backyard. I can find a beetle or spider and that's it, right? We're talking specifically about wildlife, like animals or birds from a distance. Yeah. Pete says, what I mean is that the image itself isn't better unless you need bigger prints. Most don't. That's not true. You will see the difference. You will see the difference. Yeah. Chuck says, I only use my Sony for wildlife. Eye autofocus is a game changer, and S7 Mark IV's eye is about 90% accurate. Granted, I'm still on the EM1 Mark III and not the newer OM cameras. Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's just no comparison, right? It's just so much better. Yeah, people have used it, they don't know. Ravi says, Canon, Nikon, Sony as wildlife combos are better even in terms of cost. Instead of going for the way too expensive 150 to 400, yeah, which is the accident lens. Yeah, I don't know why. And that's another problem where not just OM system, right? Panasonic as well. Like they're making the newer cameras bigger, heavier, more bloated with features that we don't need and make it really expensive. Like why? And the lenses as well, they're getting more and more expensive. Jerry says, in Finland, it's important that the camera works in very low light situation and that it is freeze proof. Our winter is cold and dark, yeah. It's brutal there, right? You can get like minus 30 degrees Celsius. Understand, perfectly understand. Joe says, I'm switching from Lumix to OM system. I literally uploaded a video. Why? 45 minutes ago. This has caught my attention. No worries. Oh my goodness. Like, I think Chris is quite brutal in ranking Panasonic the last. And they rank Panasonic behind Fuji when it comes to shooting wildlife. And the fact that you can use any of the OM system lenses on Panasonic bodies is like, oh my goodness. Chris is like really, really brutal. But yeah. All right, time check is 2 minutes past 11. I'll put a pause on the chat and we'll start with the photo sharing. But before that, let me drink some water because I do need to stay hydrated. It's been quite a hot day. I don't want to get dehydrated. And I cannot afford to fall sick. I have some jobs, things that I need to do. So yeah, water. Do we have coffee left? We do. Okay, so Santix and Andrew, I hope you guys are still here. Rippy as well, if you're here. I'm sure you guys remember this. I brought this toy camera out for the Scott Kelby's photo walk last Saturday. I shot the entire photo walk with just this camera. This is a Chu Zhao or Chu Zhao. Or if you're in English, you pronounce Chu Zhao. Z-H-A-O Zhao, right? But it's Chu Zhao, I think. But then again, I could be wrong. I could be getting the pinyin or the pronunciation, the tones, intonation wrong. Because I don't really know how to pronounce this word. So I'll just say Chu Zhao for now. It's a cheap TOR-like toy. It's not really a TOR. The lens at the top is fake. Only this is functional, the one at the bottom. And there is a top-down LCD screen, so I have to like look down as I compose my shot. It's a very interesting camera to use. It's a toy camera. I got it for 110 ringgit, so it's about $25 US. Let's see current conversion rate to USD. How much is it? $26. So I bought this new from Shopee for $26. So I think when it was launched, it was quite high, right? It was like $89 or something. Then it slowly dropped to 59, and then you can get it for $29. But I bought this for $26, including free shipping here locally in Malaysia. This is a toy camera. It has a 1/4 of an inch image sensor, and I just wanted to have fun. I didn't plan to do anything serious with it, so I just want to bring this camera out, have fun. Because following the how much fun I had with this Kodak Charmera, and I have to admit, someone in Rob Trett's live stream asked him if he's gonna get a Kodak Charmera. And he said, no, because the photos that Robin showed on his video, they look like crap. That's what he said, maybe not the exact words. He said, the photos look horrible. Then he said that his Chu Chao camera, also a toy camera that also costs about the same price, takes better photos because it's more usable. You can see details, right? That's what he said. He said this is so fun to use. So yeah, here are the shots that I've taken with this Chu Chao. Bear in mind, this was also the first time I used this camera, so I was still discovering what the camera can and cannot do. I'll talk about my experience and what I think about the camera later, but let's look at some photographs first. So yeah, here we go. So this, I think a lot of people got this shot. Not the best composition. I gotta say though, it's not easy looking through the screen, looking down like that, and keeping everything in frame, and especially in square format. So I wish I have composed this a little bit differently, a little bit higher, a little bit to the right. Anyway, composition aside, that's what I got. I don't think it's a bad shot. We have the world's second tallest building there, Merdeka 118, and we have the MRT passing by and some buildings to frame the Merdeka 118 building. So overall, I think it's still quite a good shot. And from here, fun fact, all these photographs have been post-processed. They are JPEG, but I further processed them to look a little bit better. So I balanced the colors and it looked oversaturated at first, so I toned down the saturation, and then I balanced the highlight and shadow a little bit, toned down the what I call that, the sharpness, and I added a little bit of grain. So if you look at the photographs, it looked a little bit grainy. Let me just have a quick check. If you look a little bit grainy, that because it's intentional, right? So it's not the camera's fault. So next shot. We passed by a lot of temples, Indian temples, Hindu temples, and normally they'll sell a lot of these flowers, the garlands, all of them for offering purposes. And yeah, this is one of the seller. I just love that you can see everything around him, the flowers on the floor, on the buckets, and they're hanging around the garland and everything on the table as well. Everything is so colorful. And I think this particular shot works just right with the square format. There's just some charm in shooting square format. So yeah, and I also couldn't quite figure out what the focal length of this lens is. The technical spec says it's 90 centimeters. It makes no sense. 900 millimeters, that's like extra long, but I have a feeling it's about 28 millimeters wide angle, and it's cropped into the square format, so it's a bit narrower. So I believe it's 28, but I haven't done actual comparison side by side with a 28 millimeters lens, but it is what it is. And we also went through an alley with a little bit of a small wet market in the morning. So this man was slicing some chicken pieces. So yeah, I get really close with this. And I found that one of the things that I dislike about this Chu Chao camera is that because you have to look down and shoot like this, right? Let me just go to the full screen so you can see. Because I have to look down and shoot like this, it's hard for me to take top-down shots. So I can't see top-down shot. Whereas if I were to use this Kodak Charmera, because the screen is just back, I just shoot top-down. It's easy. I can still look at the screen and shoot, right? But with this, I can't. And if I reverse it, it's just so awkward. It just doesn't work. So, and I have a lot of top-down shots that I want to take that I can't take because of this shortcoming. So in terms of practical usage, the top-down view, I think it was a flaw with the TLR design. That's why they put it away. They get rid of that with the SLR, which came after the TLR, which replaced the TLR. And SLR single lens reflex become like the next standard in the camera world, right? Like everyone uses SLR camera, right? It's so popular and become a staple place for every photographer for the longest time, even when it came to digital, they still try to replicate what SLR can do. That's why we have DSLR. And even mirrorless cameras are designed based on DSLR design. I just feel that having the back screen like this, or the viewfinder like from the front like this, it just helps so much. You want to do top down, and even when I do portraits of people, it's hard because I want to shoot from the eye level, not from the bottom level. It's just so weird. Yeah, I just find it doesn't. It's just such a nightmare to use. I don't enjoy using that top-down view of the viewfinder. It's just very, very difficult to use. And yeah, some red on red. That's what I normally like to play with. Color coordination or matching colors. And I like that there's like an opening, a gap, so your eyes immediately look through the crack or the opening where the women in red is. And here you see one of the problems. I have to shoot through holes. And one of the problems here is the dynamic range. The highlights are way overblown, and there's no way to control the exposure compensation. You can't dial it down. And this camera, the TrueTel, the toy camera, is very, very prone to overexposure. It is very, very, very prone to just ramp up the exposure and make everything so bright and overexposed. And most of my shots are overexposed because of that. I don't know why. It's just the metering is really unreliable. Just some shots of people doing some things at a 5-foot way. I just love the colors of everything. The salon, the barber shop, behind that, it's just so colorful. I just love everything in this frame, right? This at Brickfields, Little India. And vegetables, shop selling vegetables, the rack there with all the vegetables around, and the shape itself is squarish, so I thought this would be the perfect subject for the rack itself. It's the perfect subject for the square format. I put everything in square here, all right? And portrait of a man, I have to shoot bottom up. Yes, I still try to shoot portraits here. No worries. Yeah, it's a toy camera. I think for $26 US. The results are okay. They're not bad. They're okay, right? I'll zoom in later for you to see how it looks like when it's really zoomed in with pixel peak, because it's 12 megapixels. Unlike this Camera, which is 1.6 megapixels, 1.6, you can't zoom in. There's nothing to zoom in. You're looking at pixels, right? Whereas here is 12 megapixels. You can zoom in a little bit to see the details, right? So I'll show that later. Some Hindus doing the prayers with the lights, candles, and lamps here. Oil lamps, right? And good thing about this camera, though, I gotta say, compared to even the Kodak Camera, because the Kodak Camera doesn't have autofocus, it's fixed focus, so you can't get close to the Camera. With the TrueTel, you can get really, really close. So you can get some macro shots, or almost like macro close-up shots. So like this flower here, which is pretty cool. Right, and it has autofocus, which is okay. It's not like the best, the fastest autofocus. It's functional. I'm gonna borrow that word from Chris. It's functional, right? Another close-up shot of a flower. Here you can see they blown out in the middle, the highlight, but it doesn't really matter. These kind of shots, you don't expect the camera to have perfect dynamic range. And again, for shots like this, because I'm composing it from top down, it's hard for me to level the shot or to center the subject. Things are always going to appear a little bit slanted or a little bit off center. It's just not the best experience shooting from using the top down screen. Yeah, that's my biggest complaint of the camera so far. Another portrait of a man having a drink in the morning, right? This is near the temples where I shot earlier, which is pretty cool. People are very friendly in Malaysia. Yeah. And I don't see a lot of people doing portraits along the walk, like Santix and Andrew. Why don't you guys shoot some portraits? Like, it's pretty cool. People are nice. Yeah. And another portrait of a cleaner or someone who is doing some cleaning in the area, which is very, very important work, by the way, that he does to keep the whole place clean. I like there's like patches of light on him coming through the leaves of the tree at the top. Probably not the best dynamic range. I know I would have gotten a better shot if I use a full frame or macro photos camera, but that's not the point, right? The point of using this toy camera is just to have fun and embrace all its imperfections. So there's blown highlights, the image is not tack sharp, the background is messy and everything. That's the part of the fun or the challenge of using a toy camera. You're not supposed to get perfect shots. So yeah. Another portrait, you can see the background is totally overblown. I knew this is gonna happen, but I still take the shot anyway. It doesn't really matter. And you can see someone behind. Don't really know who that person is. There's another photographer. We had about 40, 50 people walking together. So chances of you getting another person in your shot is very, very, very high. So yeah, just a standard portrait of a stranger that I took. Another portrait of a stranger, more like an environmental shot. A shopkeeper selling everyday essentials. This is at the residential area. I think it's at one of the flats. In Brickfields, not Brickfields, this is like way far away from Brickfields already, but still not far from the Little India area. And this is where you see the blown highlights. It's so prone to blown highlights. I don't know why. This is another one that's very prone to blown highlights. You can see the blown highlights is not fun. It is really, really blown, like overblown. Now let's take a closer look. I need to switch over to, let me see if I can. Yes. To Windows screen. Let me see if everything is okay. I hope you guys can see this. Okay, so this camera is a 12 megapixels camera, right? It's a quarter of an inch. I don't expect the image quality to be good. In fact, I know it's a toy camera. It's a $29 camera. I don't expect it to produce good image quality. But as expected, as per my expectation, it is very disappointing. If you zoom in and see, you can see the painterly look. Like, I understand that there's processing going on to get rid of the noise, to artificially sharpen, but this is not 12 megapixels. At best, if you ask me, it's not even 5 megapixels. This is maybe 3 megapixels. It's slightly better than what the Charmera can do. It is not that much better. The details are smudged. You don't have any fine details. It looks like an AI-generated image. Overall, it just looks bad. If you don't zoom in, it is okay, but once you zoom in, everything falls apart. And you can zoom in because, hey, this is technically a 12 megapixels image. There's plenty of pixels, right? It's not like Charmera 1.6. You can't zoom. It's already at pixel level. Yeah, just show you another example. You see, it's very prone to blown highlights. And it is not fun. This is not even 5 megapixels. I think at best it's 2 to 3 megapixels kind of quality. And it doesn't even look like a photograph. It looks like a very badly done HDR by a phone, which we get a lot these days. Yeah, it's just, look at the, like, there's no detail at all. It's just a mush, right? Like, you want to say that it's better than the Charmera? Yes, you have more details, overall more definition, but for a 12 megapixel camera, it's really bad. Here's the thing. For Charmera, for a 1.6 megapixel camera, it's not great because it's 1.6 megapixels. It is what it is. So there's a charm. That's why Charmera, right? There's a charm in shooting low resolution, lo-fi quality image because it's so bad, it's so blurred, it's so smeared out, right? It's meant to be that way. But this camera, Chuchao, has 12 megapixels, so I'm expecting more. So for a 12 megapixel camera to have this kind of quality, man, it's just bad. It's just sad. So yeah, look at that. Look at, like, oh, this is just so bad. Like, my goodness. Like, I'd rather paint. Like, I think my painting will look better than this. And yeah, just look at, it's just so prone to overexposure. It's just so bad. And like the quality is just so bad. So if you ask me to pick between the Chuchao, let me just go back to the stream now. If you ask me to pick between the Chuchao or the Charmera, let me just bring all the windows up, between this camera, which one is more fun, right? Charmera wins. Smaller, lighter, I can put it in my pocket. I can't put this in my pocket. It's like, it's crazy. It's massive. This is pocketable. And not only that, yes, it's low resolution, but it doesn't pretend to do anything else. It doesn't pretend to be a TOR. It doesn't pretend to be a film camera. It doesn't tell you that it produces excellent image. It is what it is. It's a toy. And it's just so much easier to compose. I can compose my shots easier using the back screen, right? Compared to this, it's just so much harder to use. And yeah, that's my pick. I think Charmera wins. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a video on this Chuchao. I've drafted my script. I just thought that, you know, The Charmera has quite a big attention. That's why the video gotten quite a high view count, and it's quite successful. It reaches outside my subscriber pools because, let's face it, none of you are interested in this kind of cameras. When I post videos of these cameras, you guys will just skip through and look at other channels that says, oh, this OM1 Mark II is the best camera I have. Oh, this 5200 is the best lens ever. You guys will prefer that kind of content rather than me talking about this Kodak Charmera or the Chuchao toy camera. So I don't know if I want to make it. Maybe I will make it because I want to make it. I have something to say, something important that I want to convey in that video. Not necessarily because I want to review this camera, but we'll see. But I think if I make that video, it will be a fun video to make. It will be the non-serious kind of video. It will be just me letting loose, just having fun with the camera. And sometimes fun is good, right? All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed that short series of photographs taken with this Chuchao camera for Suntix and Andrew. You guys saw all the things that happened around me and around you guys. You guys were there, so I guess you guys have seen those shots as well. So yeah. Before I go on, let me just remind everyone that I have enabled membership on this channel. So with just the price of a cup of coffee, you can join and support me, and you have some perks. You have full access or early access to my videos. You can see my videos 24 hours before everyone else. We have members-only live streams where you can come in and chat with me more intimately, more directly, rather than me replying to all the non-members first before I get to your chat. Also, I'll prioritize my responses to your comments in my newer or older videos, right? And yeah, I have older videos that I've taken down because they were not doing well. And the reason that I took them down is so that it will not affect the algorithm. And this algorithm, I want them to push my newer videos to a wider audience. It has been working really well recently. So if you want access to these older videos that include tips and tricks on composition, how to get impactful black and white images, as well as how to get sharp images doing macro, a lot of POV street photography as well. If you want full access, you can join as a member. There are other ways to support me besides joining as a member. You can buy me a cup of coffee using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal if that's preferable to you, or you can buy from my affiliate links from Amazon or B&H. Any support goes a long way. It will definitely help me, will inspire me to go out, shoot more, and share as much as I can with you guys. For those of you who have supported me, for the members of this channel, for those who have bought me coffee, contributed to my PayPal, or bought from my affiliate links, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate your help. You have inspired me to do more, and definitely, I'm not stopping. I'm not going anywhere. This channel is here, and I have a lot more to share with you guys. All right, so yeah, let's get back to the chat. But before that, more water just to stay hydrated. Yeah, I've been talking on and on for an hour, right? More than an hour. And I'll go through the rest of the chat. And some leftover coffee. Coffee is live. Let's see if members chat. I'll go to members chat first, and I'll get to the non-members chat. All right. The Chutao. Yes, Andrew, the Chutao. If I see the images coming out from it. Jeffrey says, reading through the past Petapixels ranking, there's a lot of variance, so we would need to define terms. It seems obvious there are differences in priorities even for very skilled photographers. So this is very specific. Best camera for wildlife. And of course, different times, there were different cameras, right? Let's say 10 years ago, it would be different because there was no Sony A1 Mark II. There was no AI subject detection for animals, right? Conditions would change. So this is the latest ranking from Petapixel, which I think is valid. We don't have to agree with it. It's just that Chris has listed his ranking and it is out there. And I think his voice matters. And it's important for us to understand why he ranked OM System at number 4. Jeffrey says, I think a skilled wildlife photographer shooting 100 plus days per year for years and who is very familiar with the gear can create compelling images with their favorite system no matter the format. That's what I said. Anyone can shoot great images with whatever that they have. And if you have a 10 years old, 20 years old camera, doesn't mean that you can't shoot the best photographs. But let me just throw this scenario. Let's say that you are on a National Geographic assignment and you need to get shots in a limited time frame because National Geographic doesn't have unlimited budget, right? Let's say you're out there for 1 week or 2 weeks and you need to make sure that you have the best possible gear. You need to perform the best. You need to deliver shots to your editors. You will, of course, pick the most reliable camera that you have or you can get your hands on. Let's say that you have choices. Now, cost is not an issue. You have choices. Would you pick a camera that you know will not give you the best image quality, will not be the most reliable when it comes to autofocus, it will not give you the best, the highest hit rate, compared to, say, a camera that gives you much better image quality, and the autofocus is way more reliable and gives you better hit rate? Which is your choice? I think the choice is quite simple, and that's what Chris is saying here. I don't think he's wrong, right? I'm not saying that we have to agree with him. Yes, I agree with you too, Jeffrey. Like, if I were to shoot at wildlife, I'll probably just use my EM1 original and bring in the 300 f4 and I will get some good shots. Sure, I'm not on an assignment. Nothing is on the line. I'm not losing anything if I don't get the shots. But if I'm under pressure to deliver, things will be very, very different. Yeah. Andrew says, all my shots are portraits. You didn't see, Robin? No, I didn't see. Yeah. I send the link to the shots in the chat group. I don't open links because sometimes links will, bring you elsewhere, and I don't do that. Rippy says, the smearing of detail looks typical of a phone camera. Perhaps go black and white to handle the blown highlights. Yeah, the camera has an internal black and white mode, which I may try another time, but this is like the first time of me going out, so I just want to see what the camera can or cannot do with the default setting. So yeah, I'll play with the camera a few more times and see what kind of shots we can get. Jeremy says, good critique. I think wildlife and street have this in common. Easy to overprocess, level crop, minor tweaks. Initial focus and exposure is critical. Yeah, that's true. Gary says, I forgot about the Rolleiflex. I was thinking of the cheap Yashica knockoff. Not a fun camera to use either. I know, right? It's definitely not fun. How many macro-focus lenses do you own? The bread and butter lenses, 9 f1.7 Panasonic, 15 1.7 Panasonic, Olympus 25 1.7, that's 1.8, sorry, 25 1.8, Olympus 45 1.8, and Olympus 75 1.8. Those are my bread and butter lenses. And of course, the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro, which is my backup lens. So I always carry these 6 lenses to do my jobs. The other lenses that I own, that I sometimes use, 40 to 150R, 75 300 Mark II, the 60 f2.8 macro for my macro shooting, and pretty much that's it, right? Any other? Oh, 12 to 32 kit lens, the Panasonic. Yeah, 10 lenses. But out of these 10 lenses, the one that I use the most for my street photography is 25 1.8. The one I use for live stream is 15 1.7. The one I use to make my videos, 45 1.8, 15 1.7. For my jobs, I already set the 6 lenses from 9 Panasonic f1.7 all the way to 75 1.8. Those are my main lenses. Yeah, around 10 lenses, give and take. I will add in 1 or 2 lenses. Sometimes I will buy some lenses just for fun. Let's say the Panasonic 14 to 140, and then after I use it, I'll sell it off. I also have bought the Panasonic 100 to 300, on it for a while, and I sold it off. What other lenses did I try and sold off? Yeah, like I've had the Panasonic 25 1.7 before, just try it and sold it off. Yeah, I buy and sell, but the ones that will not go anywhere will be the 6 core lenses. Panasonic 9 f1.7, 15 1.7, Olympus 25 1.8, 45 1.8, 75 1.8, and the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro. This will not go anywhere. So yeah. Let's get to the non-members chat. We are a little bit behind. Let's see. Sandik says, yes, 75 300 lens is not a bright lens, but the size and the reach also and kept in a backpack is awesome. Yeah, it's such a tiny lens, right? Chuck says, I use my Olympus cameras for everything else, just not wildlife. Same here, Chuck. You and I both. Hey, Aiman, Abam Bobin. Nice to see you here, Aiman. And nice to have someone calling me Abam all the time. Jira says, these are interesting conversations. I have the Canon R7 waiting to see what the Mark II will bring, but have been considering the OM1 Mark II. We'll probably stay Canon for telephoto wildlife and macro photos for a second camera. You should compare what the R7 can do in terms of the animal, continuous autofocus, or the human face and eye tracking. Compare with the OM1 Mark II and see which one is better. If you can borrow one from a friend, or you can go to the camera shop to have a quick demo and see how it compares to the Canon R7. Burp says, I shoot with the Canon R5 and I started with Canon. Yes, Canon is great with many things, and OM system is better with other things. Exactly. It's like there's no one camera that's perfect. But then in this particular conversation, it is skewed towards wildlife, right? I think it's the ranking of the best cameras for wildlife photography. Yeah. CMS Smart says, I love a Z5 Mark II, but my pre-owned EMR Mark II and OM5 costs less total than a new body. I get photos that are good enough for my purposes, and that's what matters most to me. Exactly, and that's what I would encourage everyone to do. Stay with what you have. You don't really need to upgrade to the latest and greatest unless you absolutely have to. And if what you have is good enough, then just continue using it. You don't need to say, oh, like if I get that new camera, if I get that better lens, I'll be a better photographer. No. That's always been my main message. Use what you have, improve yourself as a photographer. Gear is secondary. That's always the main message I'm trying to send. Yeah, but it doesn't take away the fact that there are better cameras out there. That is still a fact, right? And it's also fun to look around. Doesn't mean that I'm encouraging you to splurge or ditch whatever that you have. But it's also important to see and really understand what's out there. Especially now I'm a camera reviewer, I'm a YouTuber. It's also my responsibility to really understand what's out there rather than just stay on my own island, right? And don't care about what's happening outside the world. Yeah. To be more objective, right? And fair when I'm making comments. Pete says, I have full frame and I can't tell the difference. I think that could be your problem, right? If you can't tell, I have full frame and I can tell the difference. It is quite huge. I'm not denying that my Micro Four Thirds is good enough. I'm not saying it. I keep saying that my Micro Four Thirds is more than sufficient what I have to do. But when I use full frame, I can clearly see the big difference. If you can't see, maybe that problem is you, right? Hey Wolfie, how are you? Nice to see you here again, Wolfie. Nice to catch you live, and hello to all the fellow shutter therapists. I hope you're doing well, Wolfie. This side to a screen says, I honestly are getting camera comparison fatigue. Find a camera that you like, regardless of a brand that you get out, shoot more, and learn to use what you have. It is important for you to do your photography, regardless of the comparison and the measure baiting and whatever gear talk out there. You do you, right? You do your shutter therapy, find what you love, continue to shoot, do whatever that makes you happy. That will continue to be the core of what you do and keeps you happy doing photography. But it will be also ignorant to say that, oh, I don't care what's out there. I don't care what Sony is doing. Micro Four Thirds is the best. My OM1 is the best camera that I have. My OM Mark II is already so good. I don't care about Canon. It'll be ignorant, especially for me in my position to do that, because when I say something is good, it's good in comparison to what? How is it relative? I can't just ignore that, Sony's autofocus is already so advanced. I can't just ignore that, hey, like Canon and Nikon, they have 40-something megapixels in the camera. I can't ignore that this technology exists. And I can't ignore the fact that Micro Four Thirds is being stagnant. They're not going anywhere. And I can't ignore the fact that Micro Four Thirds is doing really bad in the market. And being a Micro Four Thirds fan, I want them to succeed. So, yes, I'm perfectly happy. I'm not insecure in any way about my camera. Like, I have friends using Z9 shooting a show with me, right? And I'm just using my EMR Mark II. At the end of the day, my clients like my photos better. I'm in no way insecure about other people using better gear than me. I admit there are better cameras and lenses out there. It's also not wrong for me to say my camera is not the best. There are better cameras out there, and there are other photographers better than me. But I do me, right? You do you. We are happy with what we have. We do what makes us happy, right? At the end of the day, that's all that matters. But, again, like I said, I cannot just close my eyes and pretend nothing else exists. That's very important. Wolfie says, Robin, have you seen the new Sony macro lens? Keep pulling me back. I just thought it was out. Pull me back in. Yeah, I don't think, again, macro-wise, we are getting a little bit off topic. I'm happy with macro, and I think that Micro Four Thirds for macro is still the right way to go. I've tried shooting full frame macro, not really a fan of it. Every time I'm shooting full frame, okay, the only thing what I was impressed when I was shooting with the Z5, testing the Tamron's latest macro lens, the only thing that I was really blown away was the autofocus. Like, seriously, I wish I had that autofocus with my OM1 and the 60 f2.8. The autofocus is just so much better, right? Other than that, nah, I'll still stick with my whatever that I'm using, EM1 Mark II, OM1, and the 60 f2.8 macro. I'm happy with that, yeah. Yeah, Sony has just caught up with the best of OM digital solutions with the 90 f2.5 macro. I don't think the 90 f2.5 macro is anything to shout about. Like, what's so great about that lens? The new 100 has a 1.4 times native and can take teleconverters 2 times to 2.8 times magnification with autofocus. I wouldn't use teleconverters with a macro lens. You're just magnifying the worst of the macro lens, right? You're just amplifying the problems of a lens, the flaws, using a teleconverter. I'd rather use like what you call that, extension tubes, or close-up lens in front to take advantage of the entire glass, the entirety of the glass, rather than just using a teleconverter and just zoom in the middle part of the glass, which I don't think is a very optimal way of getting more resolution. You are compromising a lot. So, nah, I don't really care about the Sony lens. Yeah, the autofocus is really fast. Not denying, the autofocus in Sony is amazing. Like, this is one thing that I wish OM system would pay more attention to. They are getting way, way, way behind. Daryl says, Chendol can't be found in Arizona. Please come to Malaysia. We have plenty of Chendol for everyone. Let's get to the members chat. Jeffrey says, I have to disagree with your analogy for the National Geographic photographer, as I'm close friends with several. They will disagree with you. It isn't about the gear as much as you might imagine. Okay. Feel free to disagree. I'm not always right in everything, right? I'm also friends with some National Geographic photographers, and they will disagree with your National Geographic friends. So, in fact, I'm friends with a National Geographic editor. So, there you go. Andrew says, okay, Robin, I shared my shots in the group just for your view. Oh, come on, don't do that, Andrew. Like, seriously, it will become like a spam, right? Jeffrey says, I feel surveys and rankings mainly help with someone wanting to get into a genre. The experienced photographer does not switch for a commercial job or a particular ranking. No, but it also shows where the market is standing, right? And I'm here trying to make a point that OM system going for wildlife photography strategy is not working. Clearly, it's not working. It's a wrong move. And focusing solely on wildlife alone hurts them more than helping them, because if it would have worked, it would have worked by now. And the market numbers don't lie. The market share of the OM system in the latest 2024 data, it is miserable. It is really bad. And it reflects not just the sales number, but the products is not doing great. Like, I'm just making a commentary on what I observe in the market. And I think being aware of what's happening, current situation of the camera brands, is important, because I'm doing reviews, camera reviews and lenses. So I need to be aware of what's happening in the market. I need to be aware of what everyone else is doing. And Chris, being someone in the review industry as well, in the media space, right? He's always the first to review cameras and lenses, regardless of brands. And he's always being very, very impartial, being honest, being transparent. Him placing OM system at number 4 is sending a very strong message that this wildlife genre is a wrong strategy for OM system. And that is the main thing that I want to talk about here. Of course, the numbers mean nothing. It doesn't matter to you as a photographer. You can just use whatever camera that you want. I've already said this many times already, like in this chat or in my previous streams. I don't care about any other cameras or whatever latest and greatest. And my main message on this channel has always been clear. Use what you have. If your cameras are not good, if your photographs are not good, don't blame the camera. The fault is you, right? You, photographer, you're responsible for the quality of your image. But having said that, you can't just be so ignorant and saying that, hey, there are no other better cameras out there, right? That would be like totally ignorant. And I don't want to be that kind of person that is so delusional, that is so close-minded and being so narrow in my perspective that, oh, Micro Four Thirds is the best. Nothing is better than Micro Four Thirds. I don't want to be that kind of fanboy or, and in order for me to maintain some sort of credibility, and in order for me to uphold my integrity in doing my reviews and everything, I need to be aware of what's out there. And to be fair, OM Systems cameras, they are ranking way lower than there should be, right? And I would want them to be higher. So why didn't a number 4? It shows that the wildlife thing is not working. That's the main message here. So yeah. Joanna says, there's so much to talk about. I didn't see the podcast, but I guess of people's shrinking budget, the OM system is looking more appealing for hobbyist shooters. Yeah, that's true, but then even they're not really appealing to them, right? If they have appealed to the hobbyists, then the numbers in the market would have been a lot more encouraging. Gregory says, in the 70s, National Geographic standardized on Olympus OM1 and Zuiko lenses, but photographers were always free to choose their own favorite gear. Exactly. We are free to choose whatever we want to use. Doesn't matter. And there's no right and wrong. There's no best or like whatever, right? It's just whatever you want to use is up to you. Yeah. Ooh, I'm a little bit behind chat. Linda says, at least OM system was ranked higher than Panasonic. And Fuji, don't forget that. And Fuji as well. Wolfie says, even on the image stabilization, it seems that Sony implemented a macro-optimized sync stabilization in the lens. Dustin about got the autofocus continuous with subject detection at 2 times magnification, 1/30th sharp. Yeah, Sony is really breaking a lot of grounds in terms of camera technology, and I gotta really give them a lot of respect. And yeah. Burp says, Wolfie, you need to keep in mind, okay, you guys are talking to each other, no worries. Joe says, this megapixel argument makes no sense. Are people suddenly printing larger and larger today versus 5 years ago? I know, right? And yeah, it makes no sense, right, in terms of print, because people don't really print anymore. I did print. Hang on. Let me just get something. Let me just show you guys something. Be right back. I am back. Let's see, camera. It's been a while since I made some prints, so this is fun. So I printed some books. Ta-da! And this one is a compilation of the shots I've taken with the GR4. I want to show this because I have a talk happening soon, and I want to show these photographs to the GR event. Yep, you can see this. Maybe a few more pages. I've gone through all the slow shutter images. Ah, look at the cat. Look at that. Look at the cat. Yeah. And there's one book. This all the GR images, GR4. And then I have another book with the compilation of all the other shots that I've taken throughout this year, 2025. So 2 books in total. And yeah, just show the birds flying. It's just random. Let's go to a random page. This is a standard portrait of a man. This one I shot in Kuching with the Olympus 25 1.8. This was 25 1.8 as well, I think, on the EM1, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong. I don't remember all the details of all the photographs. I've taken so many. This is definitely EM1 with 25. This was the Sony A6 with TT Artisan 35 1.8 in Malacca. So let's see a few more. This was the kit lens, the same photo that you saw on Monday, EM1 with the 12 to 50 kit lens. This was, I don't remember what this was. I think this is EM1, possibly kit lens or 25 1.8. Can't remember. Yep. See a few more shots. Yeah, it's still print. Just to tease you guys around. People. Look at that. People shots. There we go. Just got them done a few days ago, so there you go. All right, let's see if there's any members chat. Members. Gregory says urban wildlife does not require super long lenses. You need a Robin coffee table book. I'll show you next year. When you come to these are made for personal consumption. I'm just for fun, not for sale. Tomato says, I think there is a secret art to printing. I remember you mentioned that Olympus printed your butterfly photo in office from 10 megapixels. Yes, they did. And printing is a skill, definitely. Yeah. Let me see. Esmida says, Pentax is number 5 and number 3. No, not even the top 6. So number 1 is Sony, number 2 is Nikon, number 3 is Canon, number 4 is OM system, number 5 is Fuji, number 6 is Panasonic. Joe says, ratings actually rate the OM1 Mark II number one camera, so depends on the source. Yeah, so this source is Petapixel, right? I already put the source out, so the question is whether you agree or not. So if you don't agree, then why you don't agree? That's as simple as that. And you don't have to agree. Yeah. Pete says, Chris is not a wildlife photographer, so no denying full frame is better, but it's not as significant as it was. Okay. I sense you're really disagreeing with Chris here. Not saying you're wrong, not saying you're wrong. I also think that he's not a wildlife photographer, but how many wildlife photographers had the chance to use all these different systems, the best of the best, right? We're talking about Sony A1 Mark II, we're talking about Nikon Z8 and Z9, we're talking about OM system OM1 Mark II or Panasonic G9 Mark II, and then Canon R3 or R5 Mark II, right? How many of the people have the chance to try everything all across and really compare? Not many I can think of, right? Let us say, wait, so Fuji was above Panasonic? Yes. Chris would rather use Fuji for wildlife. Joe says, a big reason for micro four thirds is so much better for wildlife is that lens choice selection. But then not many choice. I think Nikon and Sony will have more choices, especially if you take into consideration lenses from Sigma and Tamron. And the lenses are getting smaller and smaller. Like, Joe, I understand where you're coming from, and understand that you are defending OM system, right? You're thinking that, okay, OM system, yeah, small and light, image quality is not that much worse, things like that. But here's the truth: the market share already said it's already proven that OM system is not a popular choice. You have to ask yourself why. Generally, people don't prefer OM system as a wildlife camera, although OM system push their products so hard in the wildlife direction, right? And why someone like Chris, although he's not a wildlife photographer, why he would rank OM system at number 4? I think we have to ask ourselves that question, why? You don't have to agree. Like, I may not agree with Chris. I think number 4 is a bit too low for OM system. I will rank it a little bit higher. It's not about what I think here. What I think doesn't really matter. I'm not a wildlife photographer. But here's the truth, right? Chris and Petapixel is being sponsored by OM System. And he's still being honest and placed OM System at number 4. Why? Right? I think there's this reason why it's very important for OM System to study. It's very important for them to acknowledge that there are rooms to improve. There are many things they need to do. They are behind in a lot of things, and they need to catch up soon. Because if they don't, they are in trouble. If they're not already in trouble, they are in trouble, right? So yeah, that's the important takeaway, right, in this conversation, because we can defend micro four thirds to death. Like, my micro four thirds is better than full frame. Full frame is better than micro four thirds. Fuji is better than Panasonic. My G9 Mark II is better than OM1 Mark II. Like, this conversation, oh, micro four thirds is smaller lens, lighter lens, blah, 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 blah. This is not going to go anywhere. The fact is, micro four thirds and OM system is doing miserably in the market. That is a fact. No opinion is going to change that fact. Our opinion is subjective. I can rank OM system number 1 now. I can come up with a video saying, Chris, I disagree with you. OM system should be number 1 in the camera wildlife category. What is that going to accomplish? Nothing. So instead of being so defensive and instead of like trying to champion micro four thirds, instead of going with all these reasons, which honestly it's not going to go anywhere, it's just going to go in circles and circles and circles. I mean, look at the forum discussion. It's just going to get more and more toxic, and people are just going to burn each other and throw nuclear bombs, and it's just going to be a lot of bloodshed everywhere. This is not going to help things. Instead of going through all this discussion, who is better, why micro four thirds is better, why full frame is not better, blah, 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 we have to find solutions and help OM system and really look at the picture and why they're not doing well. That is what we should do, right? If you truly care about micro four thirds, you also have to admit their shortcomings. You can't just keep justifying micro four thirds is better, 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 better. Nothing's gonna get done, and that's where micro four thirds will die. Yeah. I saw up there says the problem with Sony is that the only budget option is 200-600, which is too heavy for most people. Yeah, not really. Like, there is a Sony event coming. Let me see the Sony bird race. I think it's this coming weekend. Yeah, it's actually happening tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, 10, 11, 12. It's a Sony bird photography event, bird race. And we'll tell that to the Sony people. Nobody complains that it's too heavy. What most people? Most people use Sony for wildlife. Most people use Sony and they don't complain that it's too heavy. And that's the problem, right? They are rather use something heavier than something lighter from OM system. And we need to figure out why, right? Yeah. KWGD says, for a wildlife photographer who prioritizes portability, harsh weather durability, hiking ease, and excellent telephoto reach, while also doing macro in the field, that is a lot of conditions. It's like 1, portability, harsh, hiking, excellent reach, doing macro. No, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if all these 5 conditions are not important, then they'll go for Sony, right? That's what you're saying? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Any members chat? Okay. Oh, that's so nice of you. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. Thanks, Tomato. Appreciate that. Gary says, someone, OMTC? What's OMTC? Said you should put your best picture in a photo book, forces you to select. Yes, that's true. That's when you really think about what you have, what you don't have, what you could have done differently, and what you should focus on the next time you go out and shoot. So doing a photo book allows you to really take a different look at your own photographs, and it forces you to do better next time you go out. Yeah. I got the perception they have deep pockets. Just because they have deep pockets doesn't mean they'll buy your products, Gregory. Right? Just because you have a product, just because I have money doesn't mean I'll buy your product, right? So yeah. Okay, let's see. I saw up there says for a sub $3,000 budget, I don't see anything like better G9 Mark II 200, but 200 is barely enough for wildlife. OM1 Mark II with 300. Not really. Like, okay, budget is one thing, right? But if, let's say that Sony, Canon, and Nikon can offer something so much better in terms of image quality and autofocus, people are willing to spend. And just now, Gregory said, wildlife photographers have deep pockets, so budget is not a concern. Right, we just talk about what you can do with the camera, like how much it can help you to get the shot, right? Yeah, it's not so much of a budget. KWGT says, if you were primarily shooting in Safari from vehicle and absolutely needed the best possible low light image quality, full-frame camera would be a better choice, definitely. However, for a user whose needs are dominated by field performance, ruggedness, and low carry weight, OM system is the most logical choice. Logical, but not the best, right? Just a logical. Movie says, I know this is a personal take, but I think Micro Four Thirds wildlife can compete in wildlife only with the prime fast lenses because the extra light catches up with the smaller sensor disadvantage. But then again, they don't have f2.8 prime long lenses. The fastest they have is f4, and that's not great. If you have like an f2, f2.8, 300, 400, that's a different story. And you know, like Canon, Nikon, Sony, they have f2.8 long lenses, right? That's something that even Micro Four Thirds lack. Joe says the argument about 150 to 400 costs gets blown away by the prices of Z9 R5 because 150 to 400 you will sell for the same price, but those cameras' values will tank. Okay, but then again, like, yeah, 150 to 400, that's a very specialized lens. Like if you need it, you need it. I think it'll be an excellent lens, no question, no denying that. But that lens alone is not enough, right? Just one lens is not enough to save the whole company, right? Yeah. Jason Wright says, hi Robin, you mentioned that you are not sure if the OM1 Mark II autofocus is better than OM1. It's a bit better, but it's still not reliable. For high-stakes wedding, I sadly can't trust it. Yeah, I know this already. The reason I said that I'm not sure is because I've not used the OM1 Mark II extensively. I've not used it for a wedding job, but I've tried it, like for briefly, just try it. And with that brief experience, hands-on experience with the OM1 Mark II, it's enough for me to conclude that it's not good enough. I wouldn't trust it to shoot a wedding, like you've already mentioned. And thanks for sharing your insight. And yeah, that's the reason why I rather use my older EM1 Mark II, just use the single autofocus. It's even better than the OM Mark II's autofocus. Yeah. Movie says, Panasonic gave up on the 200 f2.8 is discontinued. OM solutions 50 to 200 f2.8 is very expensive. The Olympus 300 f4 is great, but not faster than that. And not even Chinese like Laowa makes 200 f2. Yeah, that's the point, right? We don't have an actual telephoto lens that has bright aperture for Micro Four Thirds. Jason Red says, I love Olympus, but like you said, facts are facts and real experience is real experience. I've always loved that brand, but I hope they continue to improve. That's what we want, right? We want them to improve. And if we keep saying that, oh, Olympus is the best, oh, Olympus is so good, Olympus Mark II is so much better, I don't need full frame. If you keep saying that, then they'll never improve, right? Don't you want your camera to get better? Like, seriously. And honestly, it is not good enough. It is not good enough. Yeah. I saw up there says, I think the 200 f2.8 is competitive across systems, absolutely comparable to the Nikon 400 f5.6, which is more than twice the money. But then again, it's discontinued, right? Yeah. Uvi says, I love Micro Four Thirds and I'm a fan of Olympus brand for life no matter what, but for everything I shoot Micro Four Thirds excels. Only at one thing, macro. I shoot landscape, street, portraits. Yeah, that's kind of sad, right? We want it to be better in everything else as well. Yeah, action, pet, sports, astro, long exposure, wildlife, architecture, travel. Yeah. Pete says there are pro wildlife photographers that use Micro Four Thirds, so it can't be that bad. Chris is, oh, come on, that's not true. Okay, Pete, labeling Chris as a shield, I think that crosses a line. I have deep respect for Chris, and Chris has been doing this longer than most people around, like Chris and Jordan as a team, and a lot of the reviews are dependable, they are transparent, they are honest, and I would say they are the best reviews out there on today. Like, if you can find anything online, on YouTube, on any websites, the reviews out there, I think that the quality of the reviews that they make in terms of sample image quality, in terms of expertise, in terms of real world shooting experience and what they can do, their knowledge and their execution, in terms of putting everything together in a logical manner, I think in terms of camera reviews, Chris and Jordan, they are second to none. And to negate what they do just because you disagree with them, to call them a shield, that's too much. That's just on you, Pete. I think that's uncalled for. And as a reviewer, I feel it, you know? Like, although you're not talking about me, but I feel it. And that's just unforgivable. And with all the effort and the sacrifices that they've made, and just because they have an opinion and you don't agree with it, it doesn't justify you calling them a shield. That's too much. And this is why internet is such a toxic place, because of comments like yours. And I really think that's really unreasonable, it's uncalled for, and it's not true. And as a reviewer and someone who have observed what Chris has done over the years, I respect Chris a lot. All right, so I stand with Chris. I saw up there says, oh, that Laowa looks crazy. That would be really interesting on Micro Four Thirds, I know, right? Laowa has been making some really cool lenses. Really cool lenses. Joe says, the Leica 200 f2.8 is incredibly is for sharpness. Okay. Lumix autofocus has a hissy fit with add the teleconverter, making the choices more desirable. Okay. So the autofocus with the Panasonic 200 lens is not great. Interesting. 13,000 pounds full frame lenses aren't practical or affordable. Okay, you can, like, I understand where you're coming from, Pete. Like, you want Micro Four Thirds to win, but this is not the way. Throwing in your reasons, no matter how reasonable you sound, is not going to change the fact that Micro Four Thirds is doing miserably in the market. And this is what happens if you look at the forums, right? People go into the spiral, the never-ending battle, the discussion, like one person hits another person throws a bomb, another person like just keeps punching each other until everyone bleeds, and you know, it's like, for what? It doesn't achieve anything. Like, you defending Micro Four Thirds will not achieve anything. Nothing will be achieved, right? So instead of doing that, why don't we find solutions that are practical to help OM system to move forward? Because if we don't, then one day, really, Micro Four Thirds will die. Yeah. I saw there says, for me, autofocus improved massively going from G9 to G9 Mark II. I don't really have any complaints now. And yet, Chris ranked that the last. George says, do you have any tips for one going from contrast to phase focus systems? No, just use it as usual. Nothing should change. Camille says, today is the worst day ever. I'm at work and I forgot to bring my headphones, so I can't listen to the podcast. Ah, no worries, Camille. Hey, focus on your work. Don't worry. Yeah. Dan says, gotta love the character. All right, what character? Maybe you're referring to the photographs. I saw up there says, Chimera versus Rolleiflex keychains, the review I've been waiting for. Nah, I don't think it's worth comparing, and they are both very different cameras. But I will say this though, like in terms of using, like actual use case, the Chimera wins in terms of how fun it is. The Chutao is just not fun. Not really a fun camera to use. Yes, 12 megapixels oil painting. More like 3 megapixels oil painting. Yeah. Great toy battle of 2025. Who says, I watch all the Robins videos no matter how crappy the camera may be. I can never get enough of Robins. Oh, you are that is so wrong. Like there is so many wrongs there, Woofy. Jen says, hi Robin, hope you're doing great. Hey Jen, very nice to see you here. Appreciate you joining the stream. Car says 10 megapixels E410 with the dead battery takes better photos. I'm just trolling. Yeah, definitely. I'm not kidding. Even a 3 megapixels compact camera from 20 years ago, a CCD compact camera will take better photographs than this Rolleiflex wannabe, right? This Chuzhao fake toy camera. So yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, no worries, Car. Appreciate you being here. Yeah. Hey Rob, how are you? Don't forget that Chuzhao does video. This does video as well. And honestly, the video on this Kodak Chimera is not bad. Have you seen my video on the Chuzhao's video? Kamuya Myram says, thanks for reviewing the two cameras. Now I know what to give my friend. Yeah, the Kodak definitely has more charm. Like it's just so much more fun. And it's being so small, so light, and you know, like being just this tiny. And it has a Kodak brand to it. Like, you know, nothing beats that, right? Yeah, definitely. So I thought the stream was ending. Nah, not yet. It will end soon. Just a few more minutes. Let me just get to as many chats as I can. Let me get to the members chat. Yeah. I am a little bit behind. 1 2 cameras. Yeah, I love that channel. Jeffrey says, I'm not sure. We actually know if OM is not popular with wildlife photographers. It is not. I shot Sony A1 and A7R5 and OM1 OM Mark II and full complement of pro lenses, including primes and native Sony zooms. Excellent. Statistically, it's hard to tell from numbers if the wildlife push is a complete failure. It doesn't help with the other genres. Most people I meet new to OM came from wildlife and anecdotal only, understand? Gregor says, I made a photo book of a cat for my son. I realized that the order was very important. Yes, how you sequence the shots are very important. Jeffrey says, I've never met anyone at Sports World who switched to OM, most switched to Sony for sports because of autofocus. Sports is even more critical. Everything happens in that split second, right? And during that split second, if your lens go, gone, right? So I can understand why they switched to Sony, because the autofocus is so much better. Jeffrey says, for information, I do enjoy your opinion, even if we differ. I value your perspective quite a lot. No worries, no worries. And it's okay for us to disagree. That's what makes this interesting, right? If we all have the same opinion, if we all think alike, then this world will be very boring, right, Jeffrey? Gary says, yeah, Chris' reviews are quite even-handed and honest. I know, right? Like, I cannot imagine a world where people would call Chris a shill. That is really, really a stretch too far. Yeah, Grace says, I find it very hard to determine who is sponsoring Petapixel with the reviews, usually only allusion of such. They will mention it very clearly though, like this episode is sponsored by OM System, or this is sponsored. They will mention it very clearly, and there is like, even in the text, in the description, they will mention the sponsor very, very, very. And it's one of the regulations or the law to say that you must mention your sponsor, right? Especially if you're in the US. Yeah, it's more loose in other parts of the world. Yeah. Okay. If you work for National Geographic, of course they'll cover the cost of your gear, right? Jeffrey says, Chris and Jordan are good. Thanks for defending them. I know, right? Like I've never met them in person, don't get me wrong. I've never communicated with them, but I have massive respect for them and what they do. It's not easy doing what they do, man. Like, yeah. Gary says, my allegiance to Micro Four Thirds is practical. I've invested enough and I will not quickly switch to any new system as an engineer good enough. Yeah, same here, Gregory, same here, but it also doesn't make me like, hey, Micro Four Thirds is the best. Everything else sucks. I'm not that kind of person, right? Like, we still have to face facts, right? Yeah. Autofocus sound, no worries. And Grace says, and to think of all the sports I shot with the manual focus OM1. Yeah, back then, right? When no autofocus. Those were the days. Yeah, autofocus between ears were sufficient. I know, right? Things that we have to work with back in the day with not all this technology that we have. Yeah, it's different. Jen says, people get mad when some say Micro Four Thirds is dead, but the reality is maybe it is not dead yet, but it's definitely wounded. Things are looking far from good for the system, and it is a shame. And they could have done better, right? Like, if they don't focus so much on wildlife photography, and if they listen to the consumers, and if they don't neglect things that are more important, like autofocus, right? Instead of doing, like, I don't know, live grad ND, for example, which I find is only very specific in UK scenario because autofocus benefits everything. Every time you click the shutter button, you need autofocus. So there are other features that they have invested their time and effort and resources in, which I find maybe questionable. You get what I mean? Yeah, Linda says, the toy camera is cute, but 80 euros. Oh, that is expensive. I got it for like 26 US dollars. So 80 is no. That is way too expensive. Anthony says, I love the image quality I get from my 1.1 Mark II 150 to 600 for my wildlife kit. Yes, if you enjoy it, that's perfectly fine, right? Like, that's what we should do. We should be happy with what we have. Definitely. Her says, for National Geographic, I will use the camera I have the most skill and experience with. Yeah, but then again, I've seen National Geographic photographers, they just switch systems because the other system is better and it gets the job done. At the end of the day, it's about the gear that gets you the shots, and the one, like you said, the one you're most comfortable with. And being a photographer, it doesn't mean that you must stick with one brand. You just have to find something that works for you, right? Yeah. Wolfie says, I would love to stay in the Micro Four Thirds system, but I don't feel like I can trust in Panasonic or On Digital Solutions anymore. Panasonic has slowed down, and On Digital Solutions is falling behind technology-wise and autofocus, and no third-party support. Definitely. Yeah. I'm not going to read your comment again, Pete, because, again, you keep saying Chris is a shield. No, that is uncalled for, and I stand with Chris. I'm sorry. I think, although Chris is not a friend of mine, I've never met him in person, we've never spoken, but to attack him like that is uncalled for, and he has done more good to the community than all of us here combined. You know, like what Chris and Jordan they've done for the photography community in general. Like, man, like, you can't negate that just because you disagree with one thing that he said. So no, I'm not going to read your comments again, Pete. I'm sorry. Linda says, I'm starting to recognize the people Robin has taken photos of before. That means you have watched too many of my videos. Too many of my videos. Rar Photography says, Service, what is the 10 series cameras from Olympus? 10 series cameras. I have no idea what that is. Lina says, okay, after seeing the results, I prefer the Kodak Toy Cam 2. I know, right? At least the Kodak didn't say, I have the 12 megapixels in here. It is 1.6 megapixels. Like, 1.6. What do you expect? It's 1.6, right? Yeah. At least it's not pretending to be something else. Yeah. This side towards screen says, Robin, the French-style Micro Four Thirds camera, not sure if it's legit, but the camera is called Equis? Still only no video. And I think that is expensive. That camera is too expensive. As much as I would love to support them, going into a camera maker that has no experience, who has never done this before, I'm sorry, I just don't have confidence in them. Yeah. Who says, Robin, can I email you later? Sure, you can always email me. You can ask for advice for my future. I really appreciate your experience. Shoot, anytime, Wolfie. No worries. Yeah. Astrom says, I used the OM1 at the old 1435 to capture my most viral photo the last week. Wow, congratulations, Astrom. For my street photo, the fast autofocus is less important. For wildlife, autofocus needs improvement. Yes, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, and that's what Chris has been saying as well, right? Yeah. Wolfie says, call me crazy, but I've used Nikon Z6 with Tamron 90 macro, Tamron 150 to 600, alongside OM1 60 macro and 100 to 400. And I get better features with the Nikon. I know I'm not crazy. No, you're not. And that focusing, I don't have the Z6, I have the Z5. The focusing on the Z5 with the Tamron's latest macro lens, the Mark III, the 90 macro Mark III is absolutely incredible. I have no idea it was so good. And Z5 was not even a pro-grade camera. It's like an entry-level budget full-frame camera. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know how. And we're not even talking about Sony, right? Sony will even be better. Let me drink some water. Getting a bit thirsty here. It's already 7 minutes past midnight. We still have about 91 people watching. So I'll read as many comments as I can, and then we'll close off the session. Yeah, I'll get to as many comments as I can. We are a little bit behind. Let me drink water first. Ah. Okay. Wolfie says, I would love to buy and overpay for shipping to have one of. Oh no, don't do that. I just simply slap all the photos together. It's not like a properly made book. I just spent an afternoon putting the photos together. Like if I were to make a proper book to sell, I would need like really really go through all my archives and spend days to put everything together nicely. Like at least it's worth paying for. Right? What I have now, all of these books are like they're just photos I randomly put together. They make no sense. Oh, not that empty page. Sorry, they're just like all the photos. So you've seen that already. Why it keeps opening to that page? Yeah, these are Roti Man, like people selling like tidbits on the motorcycles, carrying them around in neighborhood areas in the afternoon for snacks. So anyway, Chuck says, as someone who collects photo books, I'll love it published. Oh, yeah. Thanks for recommending that. Appreciate Chuck. Appreciate the support. Yeah. Wolfie says, I do think of myself as a wildlife photographer. Yesterday I sat on a wet mud for 2 hours, crawling as close as I could to a family of deer and shooting in late evening at very high ISO. Well, I must have gotten some really cool photographs with that. You guys are tweeting each other. No worries. No worries. If the 150 to 400 was the same price as the Sony 200 to 600, okay. I was between ISO 9000 and 25600, trying to keep the shutter speed at 150th at 500 millimeters and the electronic shutter and burst to increase my chances of sharp image. Edits hold up decently, yeah. But I got my AI noise reduction lower than usual because of such high ISO, it smears everything. So I lowered it to 2533 and left a bit of noise but clear out in the chroma noise. Nice. I'm sure you got some good shots there, Wolfie. Yeah, I spend more than 200 days per year and over 4,000 hours outside for wildlife and macro. Yeah, doing this counts like the hours you play Dota, eh? I've stopped playing Dota already. I don't know if you still play, Wolfie. I don't have time. I want to play Dota. I don't have time. Anyway, this is my shuttle therapy and my life's purpose. Nice. Yeah, just do what makes you happy, right? And that's important. We get to enjoy what we do while we can. Christoph says, hi Robin, OM has moved into wildlife, but from what I learned from their representative in Poland, the best selling lens is 45 1.8. Of course it is. Why not? Like, have you seen how tiny that lens is? And have you seen the images that lens can make? That is my bread and butter lens. I earn like 80% of my photography from that lens alone. That lens is a miracle. Like seriously, if you haven't used that lens, you should try it and you'll see that, wow, like this is what micro four thirds should be. Not some fancy, I don't know, like wildlife wannabe kind of features or lenses or cameras that can make more money using updating that 45 1.8 on a newer, more compact camera than, like going, oh, wildlife, right? Like, seriously. Even they admitted that the 45 1.8 is a bestseller. Like, seriously. Ravi says, full frame Z8 and a 600 prime is so light, offers excellent image quality. It also has a crop zoom and will beat OM system, although in terms of reach and image quality, yeah. Like, the newer Nikon lenses are really impressive and they're really, really small. Like, I was actually surprised by how small and how light they are. Like, they're not smaller than Micro Four Thirds, no, but they are small enough. And that's the thing, right? We keep saying that Micro Four Thirds, the image quality, it's not better than full frame, but they are good enough. But they're smaller, right? They're smaller, but image quality is good enough. But now it's the reverse, right? Full frame image quality is better than Micro Four Thirds, right? No denying. Yes, they are not smaller than Micro Four Thirds, but they're small enough. Small enough. And this has become dangerous, right? I saw you up there says, I'm starting to think that I'm the only Micro Four Thirds user who actually likes the system. I like Micro Four Thirds. Everyone here likes Micro Four Thirds. If not, why are we here? I love my Micro Four Thirds. If not, why am I streaming with the OM1 camera? Why am I shooting with the kit lens 12-50 and do the video on Monday? Why am I still doing my jobs with Micro Four Thirds system if it's not good? I'm a Micro Four Thirds fan. If not, why are we talking about Micro Four Thirds here? Because we want Micro Four Thirds to improve. We don't want them to stay stagnant and not do anything, because by not doing anything, they will die. Literally, right? I feel so out of place being happy with what I got. No, I'm so happy with what I have. I'm perfectly happy, right? If not, then I would have switched to something else like Sony or Nikon long time ago. But the fact that I'm still using Micro Four Thirds shows that I'm still very happy with what I have, right? Yeah, Wolfie says the shutter mechanisms, we won't have dual gain ISO in OM cameras, so higher than 25 megapixels, only one BSI sensor tag. There's more we can have in this 9-year-old 20 megapixel sensor. Definitely. Goofy says, I agree with Robin. Out of all reviewers, the one I admire, respect, and trust the most is Chris and Jordan. Right? Seriously, for someone to say something bad about them, you gotta check on yourself, man. Like, something is not right somewhere. Goofy says, all we want is reasonable growth and improvement from OM Digital Solutions and Panasonic. Agreed. Yan and Rin says, I really love the Olympus Pen F, but its current price is too high. Do you think the Pen F Mark II will ever be released? No. The response to that is OM3. Take it or leave it. Yeah. Jeffrey says, my opinion is that wildlife focus wasn't much wrong as it was misguided and distracted from going after the best in class across the line, including entry. Sony did that and the results show. Yeah, there is something to learn from Sony, Nikon, and Canon and how they make the cameras, even from Fuji, right? I think OM system is falling behind and they really need to get out and really see what everyone else is doing. Rajendra Putra says, we must petition to OM system to buy over the Sony autofocus engineering team. If only they have the budget, right? Sony will just counter offer something that the team can't refuse. And at the end, it's the engineers that win, right? In this situation. Gary says, in my opinion, the OM missed a big opportunity in the growing street documentary market. Recall GR4 looks very attractive to me. I wish OM had developed a well thought out pen for that use case. Yeah, definitely. They've missed the boat. And I don't think it's too late. I still think they can turn things around. Like, they can release something now or next year in the Pen series or the EM10 series and still recapture the market, right? It's not too late. Gary says, in the near future, I plan to travel to the UK and stalk Wolfie in the wild. Wolfie, what do you say to that? Thrown together photo vote might ugly be better than a well thought out. Ah, you're too kind, Gregory. You're too kind. Nah, I need to put more effort. If my point is, I need to put in more effort if I want to sell something, right? It can't just be something that I've done in like 3 hours. Just put everything together and just print, right? You will want me to do more if I were to take your money for it, right? Yeah. Wolfie says, I think the Kodak camera is like an honest advertised English breakfast. Nothing fancy, but enjoyable and simple. Yeah, they don't pretend to be something else. They don't promise film simulation. They don't promise film-like shooting experience. They don't promise anything. It's just a toy camera, a keychain camera. It even says, you can't see it here, but it says here it's a keychain camera. Sorry, this is not a macro lens here, and the lighting is quite poor in front there, but it literally says, Kodak, keychain digital camera. Yeah. The TOR is fancy breakfast with lots of condiments and spices and sauces to hide every bland and badly made meal. Yeah, true. Fellow Tamron 90 macro enjoyer. Yeah, it's such a fantastic lens. I did not review that lens because I don't see the need to. But I did post a blog article. Let me see. DI? Robin Wrong, Tamron. If you guys are interested to see that. Yes, it's published in March this year. And yeah, there's a blog article. Let me just put the link here. My short, I'll just put Tamron 90mm f2. Wait. 8 macro. There. If you guys are interested. Sorry, shouldn't I put that up? Okay. So if you guys want to check it out, you can see it later. All right. And Darius says, I also love the Tamron on the ZF, even more non-macro stuff. Uvi says, yeah, you guys can join the stocking. Stock will be new to me. All right. That's it. I've caught up with the chat. It is 16 minutes past midnight. It's been a long day. It's been a fun chat. I think there's no right and wrong. And of course, feel free to disagree with Chris from Petapixel Podcast. But hey, his opinion is valid and his voice does carry some weight. While I also don't agree with him, I wouldn't rank OM system that low. But you know, he's entitled to his opinion, and we should respect that. And I admire what they do. I fully respect both Chris and Jordan. We owe them a lot for what they've contributed to the community, and I wish that they continue to do what they do on Petapixel or anywhere else. It's just so enjoyable to see their reviews, and it's nice to have this extension to discuss what we think about Chris and Jordan's take, or especially Chris' take on OM System. And he is an OM System fan. If you haven't realized that, Chris is a Macro Four Thirds fan. Even Jordan himself, he shoots a lot of things with Macro Four Thirds as well. G9 Mark II, GH7, and before that GH5, GH6. I hope they just continue to give us awesome reviews one after another. And with that said, thank you so much all of you for being here. I've enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as well. If you've enjoyed looking at the photographs, please help in any way you can. Buy me coffee. You can contribute to my PayPal, join as a member. Any way you can support is deeply appreciated. I will see you guys next week. Until then, please go out and take more photographs with whatever camera, whether it's a toy camera or an old, more than 10 years old camera and old lens. Any way you can, just enjoy photography. Bye-bye.